I mean,
but how are they going to edge them out then?
They'll know each other so well, and I think that's the tricky thing. Can we really say who's going to know what? I mean, there's history. Remember Bullet? He won a Pro League championship with Nesk way back in the day, so there is that bit of history, I suppose, that we can kind of reference to. But yeah, other than that, it's two teams that know each other so well. I think it just comes down to the star players. You know, if Nesk goes in and he drops 20 kills, I know how good FaZe are, but there's nothing you can do against that.
I know, but Ollie, Demo's talking about how well they know each other, but like, think about like the pressure and the rivalry here. Like, they're both feeling it. You can feel the energy right now from the play area. They're hyped for sure.
And that's something else that comes into it, especially when you start thinking about some of the rookies on the team, some of the more experienced veterans. They're going to know one another inside and out, and that is definitely going to be reflected here in the veto.
All right, and we are moving into the map ban phase now. Demo, what are you thinking?
Clubhouse, good ban straight away for Liquid. I think FaZe, Clubhouse, and them just go hand in hand. Great partnership. Interesting to see the Villa ban coming in from FaZe. I mean, Villa is a map that we've kind of said, Ollie, it doesn't really favor a specific team, but teams also don't like it. You know, they'll play it. It's
been a heater map at this tournament for Liquid so far. It's a map I know that they've put a lot of work into, so it could be a good ban for FaZe. It's strange to see because it used to be a FaZe stronghold. Coastline coming out there as the first pick for Liquid. I mean, could this match start any better, Demo? Coastline. It's going to be one of the first times we've actually seen a Coastline as well in the whole tournament. I can't recall seeing a map. I've not watched every game. There'll be some that I've missed, but I can't recall seeing a map that's played out on Coastline just yet. And then FaZe throwing us into a bank, which again is a good map for Liquid. Obviously, they beat CAG on there last night. Only just, albeit, and maybe that's a weakness that FaZe are looking to try and exploit.
I want to see a Chalet for the decider.
It could be.
I want to see it. I really want to see it because I want to see that rematch from the last time they played each other. I mean, it's definitely the likelihood because both teams, they'll play Chalet. We know that.
Well, Cafe's going to. I was just going to say, Cafe's going to.
Yes.
Demo, you get your
there
wish.
You go.
Cafe brilliant. Liquid. FaZe are going to take Oregon away. No big surprises there. They're both very strong maps for either side. And then we go to Chalet for the decider. I want to see all three here.
Okay, so I know we kind of already did predictions, but Ollie, why is Liquid going to win, and how quickly do you think it's going to happen? Is this going to be a drag-out battle?
I think it's going to be a drag-out battle. I think we're going to see all three. I don't know if that's just because I want to watch another 3 hours of thrilling siege or not, but I can't see either team tearing away a lead here. It just isn't going to happen. It's too familiar a rivalry. This is a very well-known game, and there's going to be a lot of pressure and expectation on the two teams' shoulders.
Demo, I mean, FaZe is going to do everything in their power to make sure Liquid does not get that first seed.
Yeah, because it's that rivalry again. We're coming back to it. You know, it's both playing for pride. It's to show that you are the best team from the region. You know, FaZe and Liquid. I know that obviously NIP are also a very historic team, but I think for a long period of time, NIP were kind of out of the picture. It was always Liquid and FaZe who were at the big events. It was always those two fighting to see who was the best side. For a long time, I think a lot of people said it's Liquid because they won the first ever championship for their own country. But times have changed. As we've seen FaZe, they won their major.
All right, our teams are ready to go, so let's get this game rolling. Liquid versus FaZe, Blue and Stokes, take it away. Let's go!
Thank you very much, Jackie, and it's our pleasure to be on board for casting this epic match here between two epic Latin American teams here. Team Liquid versus FaZe Clan. The rosters speak for themselves, but let's talk about them anyway, Stokes, because we're going to be hopping into our first map in just a few moments.
Well, man, I got to tell you, I'm absolutely tickled pink to have this series. I mean, FaZe and Liquid, Nesk and Palu, one of the deadliest combos we've ever seen in the history of Rainbow Six, up against this fiery FaZe squad. I mean, I want nothing more in the moment.
Well, thankfully, we are going to not have to wait too many moments longer, as it's just a few seconds away here from getting ourselves started with the first map. And even the map rotation ended up being a spicy one here. We're going to Coastline right off the bat. That's going to be a massive fun map to watch here, considering it's two Latin American teams going out against each other. And then Chalet for the rematch on the third map as well. Even getting some bank action going between these two teams. We saw Team 1 played into that one in our series earlier today. So I am very excited to be jumping into this one. Once again, the player players speak for themselves. You guys heard them talking about it over on the desk. The domination coming in here from players like Paula as well as Nest, just on the overall statistical leaderboard. Not even counting for this event, not even counting for this year, not even counting for like their league and their region overall. We're talking like all time, looking back like 5 or 6 years
talking
now.
Black Dragons for Nesk. Like, we're talking before Nesk had a child. We're talking a lot of different things. It's truly insane, but you can say the same for FaZe as well. I mean, you and I have been casting Bullet and Astro and Cameraman and Cyber for all of these guys' names for so very long. It's truly insane, but when it comes to that especially, I want to talk about that for a second, because on the Liquid side of the fence, there's been a change-up, John. The last time you and I casted Liquid, Moringa and Sexy Cake were on this team. They're no longer on the team anymore. It's Resets and Ask. How are you feeling about this?
I think it's going to be an interesting change-up to say the least here, but as we've already seen before, there is some issues starting to pop up with this team, or possibly as a result of the change. The cohesion isn't necessarily there as much. We saw CIG, for instance, yesterday on the bank game getting away with some, in my opinion, ridiculous executes, especially as we got towards the later portion of the game. And a lot of that was due to just them, in my opinion, Team Liquid, this is not really reading into it or not properly adjusting to those types of more kind of out of meta or crazier plays. So we're going to have to hope that they have their wits about them, because FaZe has been absolutely on point this tournament, and they will absolutely be looking to abuse those types of mistakes if they're going to happen again today here for Team Liquid.
Well, luckily enough, as a Nesk enjoyer myself, I can tell you the man is in prime form in the moment. Not just 3 different groups like they talked about on the desk, but 4 different categories in rating right now does he hold. Rating, KD, entry, and cost for Liquid, and that's not even talking about Paulu. We have to know who is going to win this game, and luckily enough, John, I and everyone else at home do not have to wait very long. It's FaZe, it's Team Liquid, and it starts now on Coastline.
Let's get into it as we are heading into map number 1 now. The band's getting started. Let's go ahead and take a look at the knockouts. This is going to be Team Liquid taking the 2 outer bans, our first attacker ban, and our final defender ban. And FaZe will get the last attacker ban coming up in just a second here, as well as the first defender ban. No surprises on the initial. Thatcher knock him right out of here as he's once again topped out, I believe, our ban statistics so far for this event, as he has been for quite some time. And since we're on Coastline, Lion slots right in as you would generally expect.
Yes, indeed. Remove both of them, and making things a little bit easier for the defensive end, as wanted to deal with those EMPs or those EE1Ds. A lot of E's inside of that, but luckily we got some V's as well, as Valkyrie will be removed by FaZe.
Valkyrie coming up here. So once again, a few options in terms of where you want to take this last one. It really just is dependent on where Team Liquid wants to try and dictate their gameplay for this one. They are on the defense. Once again, whatever they choose to knock out here is going to be a bit of a self-handicap, but obviously they'll be able to work around it fine. We've got plenty of other operators that can probably take this one's place, and speaking of which, this one's going to be Echo. Interesting. All right, that's a little bit different from what we were used to seeing here, but it makes perfect sense. Echo's actually had his pick rate kind of I wouldn't say skyrocketing, but it's definitely been increasing, I would say, as of the most recent months. And this is a map where there's quite a few sites where Echo can be quite prominent here and could potentially even save the day. So just knock that out of play, make it so you don't have to worry about it here, and as well, kind of remove any real necessity to play IQ in any given round here as well, with Valkyrie also being banned out.
Absolutely the case, my friend. And as we get into the first round, it's going to be double bar here on the defense for Liquid. We'll see what they want to bring to the table. The Kaid especially popping out to me for this setup. We usually don't see Kaid here for this, and makes a lot more sense now as Nesk will be 6 picking away from that. So trying to throw them off the scent of which side they'll be going to in the initial round here. We're going to get a Rooney out here with the laser gates instead, and actually won't be in tandem with any other prevention when it comes to the ADSs or my discs.
Already though is kind of become your go-to in a lot of team setups here for the bar setup, for the bar play specifically, and mainly again because of where you can place them on these 2 windows, denying a lot of that access, potentially allowing for the defenders to play much more heftily into the bar because of the extra delay that'll come from that. Specifically, the player behind the main bar itself will also have the capability to reignite those, obviously, after the recharge timer once FaZe does bleed them out at some midpoint in the round. Usual hole going to be opened up into blue. For any newer Seed viewers, you can't really play inside of that site where you see our player on the left side of the screen running through right now. It's just far too open, far too abusable by the attackers. You can play it from all the way across the map in the lobby, though, and that's why you've made that hole there, so that in the event the the attackers try to go for it, you can shoot out their feet pretty easily, and they won't be able to shoot you.
Yeah, always got to man it from the lobby space here, and that's more than likely we'll see Team Liquid extending themselves over towards this direction. Also just did some research of my own really quickly where we're getting through the prep phase, and well, it just seems like the Echo is kind of a spot ban here for Liquid. Isn't necessarily up against FaZe, just something that they don't necessarily want to play into that could prevent them from getting a plant down or just extra insight into FaZe's game plan on their defense. Just really don't want to have to deal with that op. So get him out of here instead. We won't have to talk about him again for the rest of this one. As for Liquid, they are definitely spinning themselves around the map right now. Nesk will be the one manning the lobby while we have Palu all the way upstairs in billiards for the time being.
It's a good possibility they caught on to something that FaZe was using it for earlier on in the tournament. Might be wanting to try and knock that out of play because of the effectiveness it did have there. It could end up being a slight target ban to a certain strategy that FaZe might have wanted to deploy in their first half play. Moving away from that, though, we already see FaZe starting to line up the utility clear, and actually almost a player clear here against Resets, but instead it's going to be Ask and Paula to pick up the opening kills elsewhere on the map. Paula nearly getting traded for it, but the job is done. 2 players from FaZe are down, and that's the case down. To be fair, outside the front door, so fairly retrievable for FaZe, but regardless, Liquid can defend that slightly here, as now they have a huge edge at a 5v3.
Well, now for Palu and the rest of the squad, it's a very chill remainder of the round as long as they can thwart off the remainder of these FaZe members who haven't made any actual progression in towards the building, because when you try, you're going to run into a Nesk, and he's going to take you down. Cyber will lose his life, and now it's a 2 versus 5 for the FaZe members. Bullet still trying to man this kitchen window, but the issue is Astro is all the way across the map currently, trying to deal with his own situation inside of Office, but look at the tandem here from Liquid. Palu over the top of PSK, who just caught that concussion, and now the FaZe member going to rotate off. Astro knows how damning it could possibly be for him to rotate in there. Could take quite a bit of damage, but instead it's going to be the cross angle here, set up for the little sunroom windows. Able to get a nice little cheeky angle out towards blue, but as for FaZe right now, it's going to be a lot of give from Liquid if they're going to get this round.
FaZe just hunting for anything that they might be able to use to leverage a slight advantage here in the final minute of play, but just not able to find anything out here. Liquid are giving away nothing, and why should they? That's such a huge advantage that they have for themselves here. Make FaZe do the work for them, not the other way around here. No need to give FaZe an inch, let alone a mile, that they could use to come back into this round here. It's a 2v5, and while that may seem like a done deal, under certain situations it is possible. Unfortunately, this is not going to be one of them. Ness now taking out Bullet, leaves Astro alone just when he was about to complete the rotation to regroup with his teammate as well. So just probably going to end up throwing himself at his opponents here in the final 10 seconds. See if he can maybe get a kill or 2, but ultimately there is not enough time left and not enough life left in Astro either. It is a really flawless round from Team Liquid to start this series out.
2 from Nesk, 2 from Palu, 1 from Ask. What more could you ask for? I'm sorry I had to do that, but either way, a flawless round from Liquid to start us off here as FaZe just get punished immediately on the entry. Not even allowing a single body to actually get inside of the building there. You don't really see that happen too often, so impressive stuff from Liquid to start us off here on Coastline.
We're going to see FaZe bringing the OSA now as well, as we're going to be moving that into play here. We already saw that picked up quite a bit. And what's up?
Well, 2 things. Number 1, Osa's going to be a 6 pick, but also the little Christmas background seemed pretty interesting there for just a second. Either way, though, Bullet, he's going to switch it on over to the Yana, who's been played so actively at this LAN. We expected a lot of that just because Yana's been played very, very often in every single region. Really good with that Gemini clone. You can get a lot of information with that. Also, burnout laser gate. She also has frag grenades and arguably one of the best ARs in the game at the current moment.
So, see how the Yana pick potentially favors our friends on FaZe, and again, I would reckon pretty well considering her pretty good prominence inside of the meta at the moment here. So, trying to see what else Liquid will try to build up towards here as they have a pretty easy walk in the park on their kitchen hold, and now it's time to move upstairs into the hookah, or rather the double bar hole in the first round. Now it's time to move up towards hookah to go for their defense here. Attackers bringing exactly what you'd expect, specifically with Souls bringing the Habana there. That's going to try and abuse the situation over by Billiards, but as you guys probably noticed, it's been double reinforced with the Kate Electric Claws there, making it a little bit harder to get access to. Attackers won't have any immediate route to take that out, but through nades and forms of other utilities should be able to knock that claw out out and possibly open it up with the Habana pellets.
I mean, just look at the amount of different spaces that are being held by Liquid right now. Cyber's going to immediately get on Repel, but this is a completely different Coastline than what we've been seeing a lot of different teams play. We got deployable shields inside of the VIP hallway. We got verticality going downstairs so that Ass can watch the office window, or rather door into blue. There's so many different ways in order for Liquid to get picks here. This is very, very damaging to FaZe if they do end up walking into a space that they're not supposed to be in, at least without information going into this.
Relatively quiet affair for the first minute or so of play here, but that may start to change soon with FaZe finishing up their initial droning, now getting ready to start moving in and putting pressure specifically over towards the penthouse area. Good news for both FaZe and Team Liquid, it does not look like we have too much presence there. We're going to preset Nitro. Oh man, and as well immediately ignited by Paul as well to take out Bullet and strike true once again for Team Liquid to give them the opening kill for a second time.
3-0 for Palu at the current moment. Obviously not a single member of Liquid losing their life just yet, as there's a big old goose egg across FaZe. They're looking to change that inside of this one. No back-to-back flawlesses, hopefully for Liquid, as that would be quite damaging to the mental of FaZe so early on inside of this series. Good info coming from this Evil Eye. They'll be able to track what's going on inside of VIP Hall for a time. Liquid just going to sit on their hands for a moment here. Quite the quiet time, at least for the time being. Still have some things to do for FaZe here as they're trying to get their head wrapped around the east side of the building. Currently working their way in through VIP as well. Got the Twitch drone out here as this is starting to build up towards an aqua plant.
So looking like it's going to be the case here. FaZe need to try and find some way to ignite this execute, though. Possibly looking back at their operator picks, might be regretting the switch off from the OSA now, considering the usefulness that would have been presented had they brought it here. We already saw it earlier on today. Just on this very map as well from Oxygen's roster, and it worked out pretty well for them, but obviously FaZe not going to be able to utilize it here and now. Player that was on it now down, but there is a nice find from Astro as he creeps right up over here towards the 90 angle, the connector between the sites, and picks up the first response. There is going to be another one from Team Liquid, however, to give them back their advantage. Toxic Babes now starting to play out to restrict the presence inside of Billiards, and Ask with a nice shot on the shotgun to take out Astro. Remove that threat that was working itself in from the 90 angle, and now Souls picks up another one to try and keep FaZe alive in this one, but they're down to only 2, still to Liquid's 3.
No flawless round for Liquid, but it still looks like a Liquid round all the same, at least at the moment. Souls has an opportunity to try and steal this one away as Ask runs out of smokes. He's going to need to hit some crack shots with this Type 89, but no, it's Nesk and Ask to shut it down. And it's going to be a 2-0 start as the energy from Ask right now is just, it's really high up there. This man's bar is just, woo.
Not enough real estate there in the dying moments of the round for the FaZe members, so they try to force the issue there. And Liquid respond in a predictable way with the swings to the outside. No issues trading that one out and shutting down the 3v2 in their favor. So a clean 2-0 opener to the beginning of this game for Team Liquid, and they're going to carry it right forward over to now going into a kitchen hold, where we'll have to see if they can go for the three-peat here and loop back over to Bars in the fourth to go for a complete rerun here, setting themselves up for a very, very healthy half here.
Well, that's a hell of a 6 pick. Get off the Mira, gone over to Oryx. I mean, two completely different operators in the mindset that you need in order to execute their play. Oryx, quite unique in the way that you can do things, especially for a map like Coastline, able to transition up through hatches as well as create some soft breaching with his body, no less. Really the only operator in the game that can do that as he just charges on through walls. Actually, funny enough, for a little while there, I had no idea what his logo was. And then somebody did like a reverse colored one, and I finally noticed that it was like a ram. And I was like, oh, this totally makes sense.
It's more of like a gazelle.
Is it a gazelle? Do gazelles run through things? No? Either way, though, we're going to have him out and about with Palu on this one, which should be pretty fun. Obviously, it's going to make it to where he can possibly flank up top with some hatch plays and things along those lines. So FaZe going to have to pay attention to that in the long form here. Could be coming later on inside of the round.
I think you're right on the ramp thing, but moving away from that now.
You're just staring at it now, aren't you?
I had to really analyze it for a second. It's going to be a slow roll once again, though, at the first minute or so of
I always thought it was like a shoe with, like, you know, wings coming off of it or something, or like air, you know, he's just moving so fast.
Just like some crazy Nikes or something with the with the flaps on the back.
I feel like every kid when they were younger had to try like 10 different shoes at like Payless to make sure that they ran faster in their shoes. I know I did, but that might just might be me being weird. Who knows though? Either way, FaZe need to get this drone game spun up, and that's exactly what they'll do. Is they'll begin clearing out the service area. Obviously, we're gonna have some Liquid members in this space. It is indeed the site, so they most definitely should. What I'll be asking here for the moment is he'll adopt the Smoke Up, one of the worst characters to play inside of this space. Not because Smoke is bad, but when you play him, you risk a lot because of the amount of rifles and long-form angles you have to deal with that SMG-11. It's very difficult to execute, so it's asking quite a bit of this member.
Yeah, that's being responsible for a whole bunch of real estate across the map here right now. Not only the service entry, but directly behind him to his 180. He's also got to watch out for pressure from the kitchen window also. So it's a tough task, and he doesn't necessarily have a good amount of support, as you can see here. Tries to peek out over towards the service door for just a split second and nearly loses his life. So in a moment, we'll need to call back his teammates or at least get them ready for an eventual push against him, as he's starting to look weaker and weaker. And I bet you FaZe realize it here. You can see the laser gate ready to be redeployed. He's going to be able to work himself over towards it, but Ask finally overwhelmed and now down. Souls immediately trades that one back out by finishing off onto Ask. There's Cyber picking one up as well. The crossfire is coming back in, and FaZe did lose a player in the process of this take, but still, they hold the advantage in a clean plant because Liquid has no presence to work themselves back in.
Smoke grenade out now to lodge this angle here so they can propel themselves forward inside of Kitchen. Astro will get taken down inside of Sunrise by Palu. Nest default a bullet as well. It's a 2 versus 3 inside of the post plant for Liquid. FaZe looking stellar in the moment as PSK will go down. Palu now 4-1 currently. To be 4-2 if he missteps, and he will. Cyber with a big round there as FaZe very quick moving inside of the actual site as Kitchen will be completely taken over.
Liquid seemingly expecting way more pressure over towards the front door or other parts of the map as well, maybe a top clear or something like that. It just never happens. FaZe go for the complete disrespect take, realize that it's only the smoke sitting inside of the site, quickly overwhelm him, and on top of that, in the process of taking him down, have already moved 2 to 3 players into the site, making it nigh impossible for Liquid to resist the plant, and as well, already having a player advantage, it makes it that much easier for FaZe to hold on to said plant and clean up the remnants, still sitting halfway across the map on the other side.
Well, FaZe recognizing that Liquid is spread thin across the entirety of this map, so they're going to bring in Jackal to try and isolate out some players and possibly get some big picks early here by tracking those footsteps with the Inox. We'll see if Cameraman can get some serious intel to influence FaZe's early round game. As we're loading things up here for round 4, it's going to be double bar yet again for Liquid, who's seen this one already one time inside of this. Obviously, the kitchen defense not working out, so maybe we see Liquid go to something else a little later on.
It's back to the double bars for right now here, however, where things had worked out perfectly well for them earlier and actually were able to bully their opponents and FaZe quite a bit with positioning over here towards the service store, but they failed to hold on in the previous round. So looking to make sure things go a little bit better this time here, and once again looking to shut down the initial push from FaZe before this round even really gets started. We'll see if they have that degree of success. It's hard to find that level of it twice in a row here. Hopefully FaZe has learned their lesson, and they're not going to come into it with a bit more prowess, specifically again with that Jackal pickup that Stokes had previously mentioned, and it's going to help them to find out the positions of these more aggressive members of Team Liquid a bit earlier on in the round.
Slow and steady for both of these squads, at least inside of the opening moment before that fiery Brazil play comes back in that we're so very used to. FaZe beginning to work the top side of the map over here towards Aqua Balcony. It's going to be a lot of drone work early on here. They do not want to overstep like they did the last time and start losing bodies so early on. They're going to have PSK, at least for Liquid's sake, inside of the office space. And skeet shooting not working out too well for PSK in the moment, but finally the 4th shotgun shell will be able to secure the drone.
That drone had some hops, was able to get out of the way, and I was even surprised it lived that long. But here we go, FaZe now working their way in, looking to overwhelm the office hold. Counteraction does come back in, hitting players on both sides of the equation. It's going to be Asked to find the initial kill, but it's not too long after that we see Cameraman pick up the exchange onto PSK, putting us down into a 4v4. Some serious damage done to Souls, though, in the process of eliminating the player holding the office area. That's going to cost FaZe potentially in the long run here if Liquid's going to be able to strike back, specifically Nest, who actually escaped the office, I do believe, and fell back into security here.
This is where things could run high into risk for either one of these squads. As of right now, FaZe is going for a blue bar execute. They want to get a handle on the blue bar wall and start going for a plant inside of that space. Now, you're going to be asking a couple of things of them. Number one, this case has to come off of Salts, mostly because of his HP. If he goes to plant right now, he's more than likely dead to Ask or any utility that gets tossed at him. An impact could put him down right now if it lands properly. So they're going to be running a lot of risk if they do end up pushing in with him, as well as holding on to all of the extended areas, all of these different spaces and avenues that we could see possibly like Nesk rotate back into with like security and things along those lines. Obviously, lobby is also going to be a hot spot for Liquid to try and defend this case from. So now for FaZe, a lot to do here as they start to clean up this wall. It's going to be a frag grenade out to try and deal with the smoke. It's going to land on Ask, but it's only going to deal about half his damage worth of HP. So looks like now yet another smoke will go out. He'll smoke close just to make sure no one's on the warpath to try and take him down.
Actually going to see Ask get caught this time by Cyber as he starts to move himself in as well on the Twitch here. Resets, trying to get himself deeper into the blue bar. He's going to take a big risk here to maintain this position, but he has to find a player at window first. Now he's been found out, though. This is where it gets tough again because there's no cover to play behind. Bullet will immediately exchange his position, and as well, 2 more kills found for FaZe here as they pick up a second round this time, finding revenge for the earlier play on the double bars at the beginning of the map.
2 rounds for Liquid, now 2 rounds for FaZe. Both back-to-back in their own sets. I don't think we're going to get out of this one too quick, John. It was looking a little scary there for just a second, but FaZe immediately rebound and shore things up. So their offensive side starting to come together. Liquid looking pretty damn good when it comes to their defensive strategy. FaZe just calling a lot of audibles in the moment. I really like the way that Cyber ended up working that, especially with him going over into Mudroom to deal with Ask. They knew that he had to be playing around that couch area with how the smokes were coming in onto them, so he immediately hops to and is very decisive in the moment. So very well done for them. And now FaZe, yet again, are going to be throwing us a curveball. Cameraman this time with Osa, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, who could have a pretty cool effect on this map. Not so much, well actually no, very so much on this site. We didn't really recognize initially what we were looking at, but yes, on Hookah, she has some pretty cool applications. Yeah,
able to creep back in. If you can get one of those shields down directly next to the chassis, that's for the most part going to be a pretty easy plant to get down. You still have to pay respect to things like the Toxic Babes thrown up by Ask, but aside from that, you won't have to worry too much as long as you can sustain that shield's position, so to give you a window to be able to put the case down on the ground, and we'll see if that's going to be the intention here from Cameraman and the rest of FaZe, similarly to how we saw it used by Oxygen to start the day off here on our Bravo stream a few hours back. We'll be finding out in just a second as here comes FaZe. They are on the board now. And as far as our defensive setup is concerned, really no huge surprises here. Let's get a Maestro being used to pepper in as many shots as possible, especially against something like an Aqua take, so it could be useful to fend off or possibly prevent some of this pressure from the Osa shields and the rest of the squad coming in from there.
I just love this defensive setup upstairs from Liquid. It's so interesting, especially with the shield placement out here towards Vase, just because that's traditionally played inside of the actual Vase space. Instead, they make this soft breach here so you have a counter angle for the door. It's a lot to worry about and something that can easily catch you off guard if you're not used to that. And obviously, like what we talked about before, there's a lot of vertical angles that they set up on that top floor to be able to support their players down low without having to worry about like blue bar and stuff like that. That's all shut down simply by that player holding the angle upstairs until they get pushed off from pressure from Aqua or the billiards window.
Relatively uneventful first minute of play here. FaZe was allowed to move into Aqua for free, though, as you can see. I'm starting to take control of that now. I believe that's Cameraman that's moved in and taken it for the squad here. Still a couple areas from down below they'll need to clear out, and they will need to pay mind to this. Palu sitting down here with a Nitro Cell right now. If he gets the intel, that's an easy pick, especially against Cameraman, who's just simply sitting here holding an angle with some soft floor sitting directly below him. And here we go, Palu ready to line it up. He's just waiting for the call from one of his teammates. Has to possibly take a guess as to where to chuck this here if he's not going to be provided it, but this is the time, and that window will soon be expiring if not.
Well, he has the time, but where's the place? That's a big question. Wants to try and get this for the default plant. Osa now trying to progress herself forward. She really wants to place this shield on that bomb chassis. This is prime real estate if she is able to do so. They'll try and limit her, at least with Ask's utility for the time being. This is a unique plant spot that only Osa can achieve that we saw utilized earlier. Where is Palu going to place this Nitro Cell? Is he going to place this Nitro Cell? It's too little, too late. Zero information on the plant spot. He just defaults it out and he chooses wrong. Liquid now forced forced into a post plant inside of this 4 versus 4, but FaZe, the shoe's on the other foot. They're the defensive team now, and Liquid has to come to them.
Even see here too, they're just going to detach that first shield as now it doesn't serve their purposes and their opponents can actually use it. FaZe really having some great control of the moment, and now members of Liquid going to try to swing back in, but look, Cameraman, he's set up for this. He's got everything he needs to control this scenario. It's going to be so tough for Resets or anyone to contest, and they're just not going to be able to do it. FaZe bring out a 3rd consecutive round and steal the lead right out of the hands of Team Liquid.
And that's the beauty of Rainbow Six Siege, folks. You can get so creative with these operators and the way that you can do things. Really love the application of Osa inside of this sense, not only with the shield to be able to assist in the plant, but also the post-plant shield to be able to assist them in keeping things locked down. Very well done from FaZe as they run amok on this offensive side. After losing 2 rounds, they run up 3.
So it's time to see now, where's the response from Team Liquid? Will there be a response from Team Liquid? As they are going to return back down into their kitchen hole, and a new wrinkle will be added for FaZe. Also, Cameraman continuing his trend of interesting 6 picks, as now he's going to bring a Ying into the fold, possibly to allow this team to just burst right into the kitchen setup. Now, pay attention here to Team Liquid's own setup. We talked about it before the last time this was played. Liquid unfortunately playing too far off of the site, giving over way too much real estate, putting all that presence onto Ask instead on the smoke, and unfortunately not having enough presence to retake once FaZe took control and realized he was the only one in there. Will they be able to adjust for this time, or will things be relatively the same, giving FaZe another window of opportunity to just flood the site and take full control without Liquid being able to do much about it if they can't establish proper counter angles?
It's very interesting, the multitude of rounds that we've seen Liquid breaking up this blue wall. Every single round, they have destroyed the bottom end of that bar, just to make sure that no one can try an entry into that place. For NA, we usually only see that happen for double bar. They'll leave it completely, put together when it comes to any other site. But for this, it makes it very easy for Liquid to hold this entire bottom floor. You can put somebody in office, somebody over in Sunrise, and then somebody in lobby, and they can assist you with players that try and get in through blue bar. It's a really smart setup. I really like what Liquid's doing with this.
All right, well, let's see if Liquid is going to find success from this type of play here. FaZe, of course, analyzing the scenario now from their drones, not even analyzing, executing already here, at least when it comes to trying to find the early picks. Resets is down for the count and out already. As once more, FaZe take the early pick here, knocking out the Aruni. Again, if there was any operator to be knocked out here, you probably would have wanted it to be that one, either that or the mute here. So not a huge amount of utility lost, as you are still going to keep those laser gates, considering they are placed in the pre-round.
Yes, indeed. And once again, Ask the only one on site as the smoke start to come in. And they know this as well. Cameraman already sending in some Candelas. And big issue is here, he's more than likely going to be able to kill the poor Smoke. As he tries to run away, he'll have that M590 out. The shots keep going wide. Only able to land 1 shell onto Cameraman, who still has quite a bit of HP. Lots of Liquid members losing their life as well. It's down to Palu and Nesk, that deadly combo that we always talk about when it comes to this squad. But neither one of them finding their mark just yet. Astro going to be able to find himself a Palu and Nesk to fall as well. It's a flawless round from FaZe. It's going to be a 4-2 half.
We have teeter-tottered in a very big way here, as this started out very one-sidedly for Team Liquid on the first 2 rounds, and now we have gone the complete opposite direction for the next 4. It's been all FaZe all day, and things have not gotten closer. They've gotten more and more dominant for FaZe as they've started to take more rounds here. Liquid, where is the turnaround? Hopefully on the attacking side, because if not, FaZe only needs to run the next quarter of this map to be able to take full control and go up 1-0.
Yeah, it really feels like Liquid has angered their fellow Brazilians, because those last 4 rounds were utter dominance, especially when it came to those kitchen offenses. They knew exactly what they were looking for, and to be honest, I really would have liked to have seen Liquid switch off of that, but, it is what it is. That's all in the past now. Liquid now on to the offensive side of the coin, and they've got a little bit of a different idea as to how they want to go about this for their operator lineup.
Saw a flash of a dock pick there from Cyber. Obviously didn't end up sticking with it, as ended up 6-picking over to an alibi, but still interesting here. FaZe certainly feeling comfortable with their current scenario.
Yeah, it's like if you're going to pick Doc, you might as well just pick Thunderbird, to be honest with you. The Kona stations are going to be a heck of a lot more helpful, and the Spear 308 is just a better gun than the MP5 is. Yeah, you get a better scope if you grab the MP5 with Doc, but past that, the Spear can actually contest those long-range gunfights that you're looking for, simply because of the damage model if you're not hitting those headies.
Yeah, but you can't heal herself up for like
That's true.
40 HP in one go.
You got me there.
You can't ego peek big window.
You're telling me I can't challenge everything? Don't want it. Don't want it.
So we'll see here if Liquid will be able to find salvation on the attacking side, and specifically against the upstairs hold here. Quite a big extension from FaZe. I'm curious to see once again if Liquid will catch on to this and try to get a little bit more aggro towards the site earlier on to maybe get some revenge for the action on FaZe back down in Kitchen for the previous 2 plays there. But again, actually going to be taking out quite a bit of utility here because the player sitting over by the hookah area was stuck on drone, so able to steal at least 1 away from the Twitch drone and actually off of it temporarily. But if we manage to catch that player on camera later, you can move back in, knock out the ADSs as well as that Twitch drone, doing a little bit of work here to delete some of the utility from FaZe.
Should make things a little bit more straightforward for Liquid, a little bit more streamlined, you could say, as you can get rid of quite a few different pivotal pieces of FaZe's overall setup. They're still going to be extended out across this map as Astro's looking to the sky to see any of the Liquid members have made their way up top just yet, which clearly not. Mostly focused over towards the hookah space as of right now. Soul's trying to thwart off this Twitch drone as much as possible, as well as Cameraman taking some heat from, I believe, resets on the window. It's going to be a nade in as he tries to get rid of some of these harder to reach areas, especially at the back end right now, that currently has an Electro Claw in the floor from Souls.
Half the round gone, and both teams have a relative stalemate right now. That does favor FaZe, obviously, but Liquid looking to change up their fate, it seems, over the next few moments. And a bit of an annoyance, it looks like, too, as another Alibi clone gets chucked out into the open, so that's going to be in the face of Liquid here for the foreseeable future until they can shoot that one back out. Liquid, though, focus on opening up the real estate inside of the site. And Nitro does go out, but it's easily dodgeable by the player on Repel outside. Souls is able to knock out, I believe, 1 or 2 of those X-Kairos pellets, so it only creates a small gap on the bottom end of the overall opening. Not necessarily usable at this point here by the team, but at least it gets Ask into their Souls rather into the open here. And after he finds the initial pick, Nesk will be there to immediately exchange that back out.
It's going to be asked to fall, but Liquid a little ahead here, at least when it comes to the damage, although the timer's starting to dwindle. Cameraman, no answer for the plant, doesn't have a Nitro Cell in the current moment, and with Liquid hitting shots like this is looking like a Liquid round all over the place. It's all down to Bullet as he scurries up the white stairs and passes through luggage. A lot to do, a lot on his plate at the time. They need this plant currently. Reset seemingly aware of where this rotation's going to come in from as he's looking in towards the Aqua space right now. A drone out, and Bullet more than likely dead, as Resets will be able to land his shots as he steps up into the angle.
It's a slowly built attack, but it works out very efficiently once Liquid are ready to go. And why wouldn't it have been? They had loads of intel up until that point in the round. The Twitch drone obviously sneaking itself in. Should have given them a good idea as to where a large majority of the members of FaZe were playing from. And after they were finally able to line themselves up for it, surgically inserted themselves into the site, be able to trade their way towards a win there. And now be within only 1 round's grasp of taking the lead back once again from FaZe here. Meanwhile, time for FaZe, they are not going to be favoring a retry upstairs too heftily. Things just didn't really go well for them on their overall hold, so time to move on, time to shuffle, look for something better in terms of their defensive capability, and they will hopefully find that downstairs in the kitchen, which is going to be their second site hold.
Is it going to look similar to what Liquid was pulling off with the solo man on site and quite a few players strung along the entirety of the map to try and limit what they can do with that control? FaZe obviously opted to go direct in that manner, and it made things actually relatively easy for them, as we had Ying the second time, and the first time was just really nades pouring in from the kitchen window, a lot of pressure onto Smoke, and 2 pinches, and that was just about all she wrote. So very straightforward for FaZe that got 2 rounds on this site on their offensive half. Liquid obviously 1 round away from shoring this score line up here as we begin this site setup. Going to be breaking down the bathroom wall as well as the entirety of the kitchen wall as well. They've simply opened this to nature and just gonna let it go. I mean, what's gonna happen here, John? There's so many different angles for them to manage.
Is going to be a similar setup to what we saw from Liquid as well, keeping primarily just the Smoke player contained within the site to try and delay there and fend off all the presence from both service as well as kitchen window.
I feel like they're just cheating off each other's homework right now. Yeah. They're like, what are you doing? I'm going to do that.
I mean, it's the same region, so.
Hey, to be fair, you are completely right. We haven't seen the Osa come out from Liquid yet, but obviously that's more for like a hookah offense, and once they know that that's going to come into play, we might see her a little more often. But you never really know. Either way, FaZe obviously going to have quite the setup when it comes to this kitchen defense, just like we saw from Liquid, who's out and about now on the map. They've got some pretty cheeky drones around that they were able to find inside of Prep FaZe, specifically one inside of Sunrise that's being utilized right now to find Astro.
Astro more than likely having his position been revealed here, but no one from Team Liquid wanting to necessarily strike upon it. Important to note too, Astro right nearby on the site, so in the event that there's too much pressure built up against Cameraman, they can very quickly adjust for that and counteract said pressure here. At minimum, try to support him with the play from Astro. Up on top here, you can see Cyber is going to get spotted out by a drone. They immediately switch off of that drone, and regardless of that, he'll be spotted again trying to transition through 90. So Cyber just nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, it seems, and thankfully nowhere to fight either, as Team Liquid don't want to take the duel this early against him. He's being a bit too wild here, so they're focusing on taking control closer to Penthouse, and then being able to swing against him more than likely from there.
Cyber now inside of Light's hallway, moves his way into theater and gets reset by resets. What a shot from him. Immediately eviscerated on the entry. Astro trying to pre-fire in through the wall, but they're going to lose Cameraman instead. That's a smoke on site and a call sign that things are not going well here. Where's the case for Liquid? They need to get this thing down before FaZe can try and clamber back into round 8. Currently droning things out on site. Astro transition into luggage. Lots for him to do with Souls downstairs. Bullets made his way back in. Liquid haven't struck just yet, but it's still a one-man show. Ask will take him down, and yet another player to fall inside of Kitchen for FaZe. They need to get this plant down soon, but does it really matter if they keep landing shots on the FaZe members like this?
Far too many detached fights occurring as well here, and you can just see it once again. Astro, able to pick up a trade, but he's lost his teammate in the process. Even though once again able to exchange out 1-for-1 there. We need to see a lot more of that earlier in the round. This is too little too late on the immediate exchanges. Everybody else tries to take a detached 1v1 and fails to even come close to winning it, as you can tell from the health pools over on Liquid. Diffuser now down on the ground, and there's not a whole lot Astro can do about it. He's stuck on the sidearm at this point here. No time to go for the reload on his primary here, and no time to keep himself alive either. Ask adds one more to his tally mark as Liquid clean up once again and tie us up once more at 4-4.
As much as this has been the LATAM play style, it's been fairly straightforward from both of these teams. Attack timeout coming in here, and we'll see if things can be reset by the members of FaZe. They've got some things to talk about on this defensive side. Liquid able to pull it back so very quickly here, and FaZe not able to put up a single round just yet, so feeling like some words need to be said.
Yep, gonna use their initial tactical pause and see if it'll give words of wisdom from their coach and what they might be able to garner from that one. A lot of things that we can certainly touch upon here and that we've noticed in the first few rounds of play. You can see Liquid's coach definitely going to be handing out some very much needed words as well, and hopefully they're able to catch up on some of those things and hand that insight over to a call for those immediate adjustments. Either way, things are looking great for whoever's on the attacking side, and that's good news for the Liquid fans.
Absolutely the case is that man right there, Nesk, the man of the hour, you could say, as he's the top-rated player at this LAN currently. And time again, when we see Liquid show up, it just happens to be his name and Palu at the top of the leaderboard. But that doesn't mean that we can't see some action from the remaining members of this squad. As for FaZe, they've been silent inside these last 2 rounds, which definitely is not looking like what they were able to achieve on offense, especially for Cyber's sake, who was doing so much heavy lifting initially, but has gone pretty quiet inside of these last couple of rounds. Speaking of Cyber, he's going to be the one to 6-pick inside of this space. He's going to get rid of the Mira, bring in Mozzie. We're also going to see a 6-pick onto a Maverick, which is an op that we really don't see played on Coastline.
Yeah, I think that might have been a little bit of a bait to make them think they were going like Penthouse or something like that with the showing of the Mira. And that could have actually worked to get Ask back in play there too. So Ask really only going to be able to use the Maverick to get access to like the circle couch room right here. And aside from that, not a whole lot in terms of where that torch is potentially going to be useful for the squad here. So we'll have to wait and see if maybe he can find another use for it. But either way, I mean, worst case worse, he just got a good primary and can be a bit of a fragger in this round. He's already served himself to be currently tied for first next to resets in terms of contributions for his teams there on frags.
I swear if we see him rappel down square and torch that wall, I'm going to lose my mind. But I highly doubt that we see that.
The problem is you're just asking to get pegged from one of the side halls if you do that. Like,
absolutely, my friend. But don't put it past Golds. They love to do some trolly things sometimes. I would highly recommend not to, but you never know. For Liquid, I highly doubt that we see that. It'll more than likely be to just be used on the VIP wall because they don't have access to Thatcher, and they are more than likely going to want to take control of this space just because of the picks that they did end up going with. But that's to, we'll see a little bit later on. We're about to discover it as we're about 30 seconds in here.
So let's get into it and see if Liquid can continue their triumphant run so far here on the attacking side after a bit of a bump in the road there for the second group of rounds inside of the first half. Picking up the first two, dropping the next consecutive four, left FaZe in control up until this point where Liquid obviously responded with two of their own. Bit of a tense opener here as well for Bullet. He's got a massive cross going all the way over towards the sunrise angle there, looking to punish any more early adventures from Team Liquid to take that first floor control before they look to start transitioning up and putting pressure on the hookah billiards rooms here. Paula will take up a position that will probably see him stay in for quite some time, if not the large majority of the rest of the round here, as he's going to try to harass anyone near the inside of hookah from that repelled window. Obviously, you have to be careful. You can see Souls getting that Nitro cell primed and ready to go. Resets the meanwhile, finding some luck with his nades from down below, able to take out Cameraman here. So where's the response from FaZe? The Nitro right on point, but again, also dodged mainly by Palu there as he only loses half of his HP from it. And on top of that, Ask going to be able to find a second kill against FaZe with the elimination of Astro.
Smokes out. Cyber a little worried about his positioning at the moment. He's going to blow the Nitro and give himself an exit option if necessary, but oh no, the air jab's going to get him. Oh, so unfortunate. He didn't hear it go down. He's going to get blasted against the wall and then blasted with the ARX as well, but not before Souls can do something about it. He'll take down PSK down low. Could have possibly have stopped a lot of what FaZe could have done with the remainder of this round, but the plant's already going down from Ass. Bullet at a nice angle, not able to land his shots. That's going to be the plant, and Liquid looking to take this round as well.
Yeah, FaZe completely losing 2F controls. They have no one even on the same floor to be able to contest that one. Another air jab getting triggered. That's 3 for 3 actually, I think, on this round. So good stuff from PSK. All 3 of those air jabs are successfully triggered over some course of the round. Very rarely do you see that happen. Souls here trying to fight it out, but he's very quickly going to lose his life due to the low HP he's sustained from a previous engagement. And now Bullet left alone, stuck at the bottom of Cool Vibes. Oh man, the timing as well, just not playing out well for him here as Nest swings him, and he looks the other way, obliging and allowing for Nest to get a quick cleanup.
Very well done from Liquid here. Is this Coastline pick seemingly starting to work out? Obviously, it looked a little risky when they were on their defensive side, but when does Coastline not? I mean, let's be honest. It's just one of those maps that really trends to the offensive side. It does tend to be up to the teams that are playing it, but most of the time we see the offense take control when it matters most. And this is going to be no different. Now, for FaZe, they really need to find something here because Liquid are on the cusp of match point in the moment as they're looking for their 6th round. Penthouse Theater going to be the next site for FaZe. No 6 picks coming in from them, but Ask will be switching back over to the Maverick, more than likely because of them playing this space. He knows eventually they have to go here. That torch is going to be extremely vital to getting into VIP for them if they so choose to try an entry from that point.
So let's see here, as interestingly enough, FaZe are now going to move themselves over into the penthouse, and this time we won't even see the mirror pick get utilized here either. Not that, again, you really necessarily need it, considering there's a new school of thought when it comes to how teams like to hold on to this site specifically, but certainly helps, considering that she was not thrown into the ban pool. Might have been a nice addition. However, FaZe choosing to not utilize it in this specific scenario here, and actually having a fairly aggressive Hall of Fame setup to play for as well. Away from that, things are pretty much as you'd expect here for the upstairs penthouse hold. Goyo shields to delay. Going to be seeing those shields placed again close to the doorways to bait out some extra time from Team Liquid's attack, and a few more aggressive picks as well, notably the alibi there for Cyber, allow them to get a bit more aggressive with that storm.
Not going to see the Mira here for FaZe to rock inside of 90. Instead, it'll be the Goyo shield to hold on to that space for some time, as well as an ADS to be able to prevent anything from coming in onto it initially. Also have some cheeky angles around the space as well to manage, so pretty interesting setup here for FaZe that Liquid are going to have to try and deal with. They're immediately going to propel themselves to the roof, and wouldn't you know it, the Maverick coming in on the VIP balcony, just like we were talking about before. We expect this to be used on that VIP wall when the time comes.
So away from that, we can see Liquid starting to set up some early advantages for themselves. Once again, Nesk using well, for a moment, that Twitch drone there to be able to knock out at least one magnet, but it's very quickly found out, it looks like by Cyber and Dispatch Dove. Should be a second one still sitting in the pocket of Nest to potentially be able to use, and it looks like indeed that second one's still alive and well. They're going to sneak it back in, take out, looks like another piece of the puzzle of FaZe's utility on their defensive side here. And at the same time, you've got work being done here now by the Maverick, currently being played by Ask, to open up access to VIP and allow the team to work their way in.
Well, everybody into VIP balcony now as Cyber will actually strike first onto PSK. He's all the way outside the building. We are outside, folks, and Liquid not going to have a chance to be able to refrag this. Pretty cheeky there from Cyber. A perfect opportunity for him to be able to grab PSK before Liquid can rebound.
The air jab's being found out once again as he works his way back in, but no one from Liquid either in the area or even really interested in trying to follow that one up once the noise is called out. So he's allowed to get away with that one, and that's just a free run out for FaZe that works out perfectly for them. This is the type of attitude that we really haven't been seeing come into effect for them up until this point. So hopefully the start of a turnaround that allows them to not only come out on top of this round, but potentially equalize the scoreline as well. Things continue to go well. A minute remaining here, and Liquid have barely found any map control themselves to play off of. They're going to need to look for it soon, but Souls doesn't want to hand it over. He finds another pick, this time against Ask, and Liquid's roster continuing to look weaker and weaker as the time continues to shrink also.
Palu with a nice shot onto Cameraman will finally start Liquid off on their warpath, but there's still a lot to do. So many angles for FaZe to adopt, but as soon as they do, Astro will lose his life. Still have Souls all the way back inside of Theater for the moment. Cyber also trying to move his way into VIP. He knows one player's manning bookshelf for the time being. That's going to be Nesk here with the up-2, as Souls is going to take a lot of heat from that Goyo shield blowing up.
Cyber waiting for the cross to come his way, and he's just gifted the pick as well here. Nesk seemingly believing that his opponent had fallen back. Not the case here. Not even a real need to get Nesk back up. Time is too low. He needs to focus on the next fight and doing as much damage to Palu as possible. Picks it up here, but at the same time, Souls is down. It all falls to Bullet. Bullet drops the case, though, and there's massive pings coming in, so he has no problem dodging out the last few seconds. And finally, picking up a defensive round for FaZe Clan.
Extremely unfortunate there for Liquid as they start to get the picks, but just a little bit too late. Especially with the FaZe members able to occupy 90 as well as VIP hallway for so unbelievably long. There was a lot still left on the board for them to play with and just too little for Liquid to be able to get anything done. So unfortunate enough for Liquid, but a positive for FaZe when it comes down to it. We're getting into round 11 now after FaZe finally rebound after starting this half off at a 4-2 lead.
Not only is it a positive for FaZe, it's a positive for you guys at home. It's just looking like this match might go the full distance here, and even this map might make it all the way as well here. Overtime certainly in the cards if we go into a teeter-totter here now. FaZe just need one more to guarantee overtime, and they could very well take control of this map outright here with 2 going into their pocket as they make a return to a site they've already played into. Once again, though, the glaring issue being the off-site presence and its inability to properly fend off the initial execute, on top of the fact that, again, that lone in-site defender almost always played by the smoke, so expected to be Cameraman in this specific circumstance, just not being able to contend against a big 3, if not 4 player push.
Once again, the destruction coming in a bountiful load for FaZe as they'll destroy every wall around this area. Whoever owns this building has got to be extremely pissed, let me tell you, because there is so much destruction on these walls. I'm sure Airbnb will be contacting them soon enough. Either way, we got some laser gates also to tag up the doors, as well as some reinforcements going on upstairs. It looks like they're really prioritizing this roam game yet again here. We saw Liquid obviously be able to dismantle this the last time around, just like FaZe did on their offensive side. So now for Liquid, this is more than likely going to be more of the same. But obviously FaZe knows what's coming, so we really need to be seeing the audible called on this defensive side.
Let's see if it will happen for FaZe and how they're going to look to once again leverage an early advantage against the advances of Team Liquid. Cyber punching open access to the hatch drop from down below. Things get a bit too hairy here on the inside of the Penn household as he's gone for a direct middle of the room play also, meaning he is in a very, very exposed position. He needs to be able to turn tail and get the heck out of here if things go wrong, and if he gets pressured by more than one player. It's going to be relatively quiet, though, to start things out here inside of that first minute. No one from Liquid trying to move in against him to go for the clear, so he'll be safe to back away and now maintain a position over at the top of main stairs, supporting Souls' position slightly from down below in lobby behind the check-in desk.
Cyber, as of right now, playing top white. PSK will pop the window open. More than likely not knowing that this player is inside of this space. Hopefully he doesn't put his face too deep into the window, as Cyber could end up catching a body here. Just a split second. He's going to hop out and waiting on the time, but that's the beauty, or rather lack thereof, of the rifle. It does a lot of damage when you land your shots, but that low rate of fire makes it difficult in certain situations, and that just happens to be one.
Yeah, that Mark 14, not really purpose-built for runouts, let alone such an awkward angle that he had to play into there, so it does not pan out, and PSK barely survives it there. 1 or 2 missed shots, and he might have given Cyber the room he needed to be able to clutch that one out here. Not going to happen this time around here. Liquid takes the edge yet again, goes up 5v4 here in the first 2 minutes of play. Away from that, though, as you can see, still a lot of makeup now to be done here from Liquid in terms of their clearance and just preparation for the descent down onto the first floor, whether they're going to pressure in from Service or another method. It's looking like Service might be in the cards here as Ask gets himself yet another pick here, this time against Astro, trying to work himself back into kitchen to support Cameraman's position. Cameraman going to try to peek out towards the window here, looking for options, but not going to find many of them as Liquid are inching closer and closer towards their push.
38 seconds remaining for Liquid to get into the site, but still have Cameraman to worry about, manning so much space in the current moment. Finds a pretty cheeky spot to be playing around the kitchen window that'll prevent him from being blown up from resets, who's having a heck of a game in the current moment. 10-4-1. Ask starting to move in as well and begin looking for this plant location. It'll be the last smoke being burned from Cameraman here, going into the last moments as they begin to collapse onto the site. A nice shot from Palu will take down Cameraman. He's got the crosshair lobby as well, where the last 2 remaining members are. They're simply seeing if they can prevent the plant, but Ask will take one down. As he crosses, the plant will start at 0-0, and Souls will have to look deep into this one to see if he can find anyone, or at least the body of the planter. He will not be able to. It's a safe spot for Ask as Liquid get yet another round.
Bit risky for Liquid there, considering they had to go for a 0 timer, a few lucky shots, especially if the plant position wasn't great. Might have allowed that round to go in the other direction, but it does not end up going that way. Liquid have full surrounding positionings against that last member of FaZe and are not going to give them the capability to clutch that one out. 6-5 here. It's going to be Liquid to race up to the penultimate point first here, and with one more round, they can control this map. However, they've only got one chance to do it. FaZe, any sort of response from them will immediately throw us into overtime and ignite those 3 additional rounds here. Looks like the final battleground, for regulation at least, will be upstairs inside of Hookah Billiards as FaZe look to repeat their earlier success and see if they can make that OT happen.
All right, well, for Cyber's sake, he's switching off of the Mozzie and over to the Vigil. Liquid not choosing to opt for Osa, which we did see on the offensive side for FaZe when it came to this site. But big thing is that FaZe has quite a few different options in their site selection, so it's really not guaranteed. Liquid aren't really willing to risk it, so they're just simply not going to. We'll stick with the lineup that's been getting them all of these rounds so far, and that should suffice. As of right now, FaZe is beginning their site setup when it comes to the Hookah Billiards defense. We're not seeing anything too crazy or out of the ordinary. The big thing is Cyber needs to do some heavy lifting when it comes to this Vigil play. He's been pretty quiet since the offensive side. It just seems like defense hasn't been his forte.
Let's see if maybe they can prep themselves up and get into position to out on top a bit more prominently for this final round, as it's do or die time for the FaZe roster. Bullet will be positioned downstairs, and it's going to be looking to try and waste away a bit of time from Liquid if they try to go in for their sunrise clear, but Liquid not going to be clearing out anything too early on here. Still need to go for that kind of auxiliary drone phase inside of this first minute of our overall 3 minutes of play and get a better sense of what FaZe are trying to do outside of the site before they even think about moving to the inside.
As they begin to gather this information, they'll be looking towards this top area. You can see them droning out the theater space to see if the northeast side has some vacancy for some Liquid members, and clearly it does. There's so many FaZe bodies downstairs instead, but that's to be expected simply because of the site selection as of right now, or rather where they could possibly entry from. We've seen quite a few members on the offensive side come in through kitchen and things like that, and it seems like they're worried about that possibly happening. They damn well should be, because that's exactly where Ask is entering from. But they've already gotten the entry frag as well onto Astro.
Bullet trying to be very careful with this Sunrise play. Not careful enough, apparently, as Nesk just takes his head right off as soon as he pops out from his position over by the couches. Souls will be there for an additional exchange that at least stops from going completely out of control here, putting it down to a 4v3, but important to note their case getting dropped, I believe, by Palu to try and once again put the team in a palatable position in the event that he goes down, trying to make that push forward. Cameraman going to be able to take out resets there, I believe on a hop out, but very easily gets traded out by Nesk. That's going to reduce the numbers from FaZe even further here. Now it just goes another 1-for-1 down and turns this 4v3 into a 3v2, leaving only Cyber and Souls, who have both taken at least 1 to 2 bullets of damage. In a bit of a delicate spot here also.
Yeah, unfortunately, FaZe failing math class inside of that one, but Souls doesn't seemingly care about that. He'll be able to get one, almost has the second, but unfortunately enough for him, the SMG-11 not having enough bullets to be able to contest how he wants to for that second frag. Now it's all down to Cyber to have to prevent this. Luckily enough for him, Liquid still have to plant the diffuser, so he's going to have an opportunity in a certain sense to be able to take an isolated 1v1. He's immediately going to sprint on over to White, climb up the stairwells. It's a race against PSK, who's currently wrapping the building right now with Nesk in tandem. As they're coming up the hookah stairs, he will enter VIP hallway, and this is where we're going to have our Duel of Fates.
Cyber creeping his way forward here, trying to avoid any additional drone intel if there was any presets here. He's got the lineup for both of them as well. Just going to chuck the Pokeball out, see if he can make anything work for him. And oh, the headshot against PSK, but the immediate response from Nesk. Once again, the big clutch coming in from the big player on Liquid. They get it done and shut down map number 1 with a final score of 7-5.
I mean, who else would be able to shut it down inside of that situation? Nesk, yet again, proving his worth to this Liquid roster as they'll pull it out 7-5 here on Coastline. Cyber almost getting away with that round as well. The timing was impeccable from him, but simply couldn't get it done at the end of the day.
So some great stuff from Team Liquid as it's a fairly close affair. Liquid nearly losing the plot towards that later portion of the first half, but they're able to rebound quite nicely on their attacking side and take full control, allowing them to surge forward towards the end of it and take final control in our final round of regulation. It's a close one, but that's what we expected to get out of this series in the LATAM Derby, with both of these teams knowing each other so well. As the Death said, it was oftentimes going to come down to the individual plays, and that's exactly what we get. What you guys are going to get in a few minutes is map number 2 of this amazing series. Stick with us, and we'll be back in just a few minutes for the return of these two teams. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, after a very back and forth map number 1 between these two Latin American teams, both trying to best each other, and they end up as the best inside of their group here. Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Six Invitational 2022 group stage here. Starting to get towards the end of day number 4 of our groups, which means we're almost at the end of the groups overall.
Ooh.
Only one more day to go after this, but we got to focus on this series here and now, where Liquid able to rebound with a comeback after initially having the lead at 2-0, falling behind with 4 additional rounds going over to FaZe, and then taking solid control for themselves, mainly as things switched over to the second half, and they went on to the attacking side. Bank is up next, but before we talk too much about that, let's take a look at these stats from the first map.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It feels like we set time to light speed for this group stage. We've already made it to day 4, but yes, we have to break down what happened here on Coastline. First things first, resets with a cost of 92%, one of his best maps this entire LAN, and honestly needed in the moment. Palu not really hitting his mark like we're used to him seeing, but even with that being said, it's still a cost of 75%, still went even on the map, so pretty damn good from him. As for FaZe, just could not get the ball rolling on the defensive side, but fortunately enough for them, they still have their map pick in the likes of Bank.
Absolutely the case here. Moving over to Bank, there's going to be some certainly stylistic differences between the previous 2 maps here. More than anything, a lot more real estate for the defenders to play into, but some sites will limit that to a certain extent here. You can see Liquid, of course, in their summoning circle as they get themselves ready for map number 2 here. They're going to fulfill the ritual that we always see Latin American teams go for in a few moments here. They do like the hand thing and chant whatever they chant, you know, like they always say the same thing too. I've noticed it's always, I've noticed for the most part, Latin American teams, they always say the same thing. So
well, it's in Portuguese, so I have no idea what it is. I'd have to ask literally. You know what?
It's probably something really straightforward.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what, LATAM fans at home, if you guys would love to DM us on Twitter and let us know what they're saying, that would be great. We would highly appreciate it.
And it's not even just Rainbow Six teams too. I see teams in other games from Latin America do the same exact thing. So it's just, I don't know what it is, but they always do it.
Man, I would love to know what it is. I need some of that LATAM sauce, dude. I've always loved LATAM teams. No matter what game I watch, I love them in Siege, I love them in Counter-Strike. They're always so much fun to just witness their play style.
Absolutely the case. So they're getting sat down now, getting themselves ready. FaZe will be doing the same here in just a moment. Never mind, they're already sat down, ready to go here. FaZe skipped
They're locked in.
FaZe don't even need it. They're ready and rock
I love
and
that
roll
you said
here.
that. The first thing we see is him yawning. It's so unfortunate. It's like, oh, they're locked in.
Just ignore that, folks. Roll with the narrative that we were telling you about.
They're locked in. They're ready for combat. War set. As they actually are. The match has just begun, folks. We're kicking it on now. Fist bumps abound as Bank begins between Liquid and FaZe.
Be a very realistic war as well if someone's yawning. That's oftentimes what happens.
Yeah.
What I've heard. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen, into map number 2. As we get ourselves into it, it's going to be heading over towards Bank. Team Liquid versus FaZe here into map number 2 here. Liquid with the edge in the series at the moment, up 1-0. FaZe looking to rebound, FaZe looking to respond, FaZe looking to survive. We'll see if they can do it as we're well into the ban phase. That's a lot of phases in that last few seconds there.
Yeah.
And they've already knocked out Hibana, interestingly enough, as our first operator choice. We've seen Hibana become a trend on a few other maps, Bank not necessarily being one of them, but again, considering the huge amount of hatch play that tends to show up inside of this map, makes perfect sense in my opinion.
Yes, we got hatches as well as the top floor elevator hallway, John. Very, very important that that is not opened. Obviously, they're still going to have access to Ace to be able to reach out there as an extended hard breach and possibly get that wall open if it's not electrified, but we'll have to see. The rest of these bans making complete and total sense, but for those at home, they're a little bit newer. We'll break them down. Thatcher's EMPs are really good for the offense to clear utility. Kai just so happens to be able to lock up hatches, and whenever Thatcher is banned, his play goes way up when he is available because those hatches will stay locked. It forces you to play Maverick and torch those open. And lastly, Valkyrie has so much potency when it comes to, well, all maps, but Bank happens to be one of her better ones as well.
All right, so let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen, here. Let's take a look at what FaZe are going to bring to the table for this defensive side as they're going to go immediately into an upstairs hold for themselves. Taking a look at the specifics of that hold, well, operator lineup's not going to surprise us too much once again, and I would honestly say the same thing for Liquid, but they are going to 6-pick over into an OSA and bring that once more into the fold, specifically for resets here, seeing if that's going to potentially work out well for this type of push. I would say so. We already saw it work like a charm for Liquid when they went the hookah billiards push back in map number 1. not the only team to do that as well today, and going to try to pull off the same exact thing upstairs in the CEO hole, which is actually not a site we've been seeing teams go to immediately initially. This site is a little bit risky just considering the amount of crosses that the attackers can get access to from those repelled angles, so some teams are choosing to kind of avoid this one, push it to a little bit later in their picks, or possibly not even bring it in at all for some teams.
Yes, indeed. This top floor defense starting to be built up here for FaZe and taking some pages out of Coastline here. There's a lot of destruction coming in specifically over here for the stock wall. For a lot of other bank setups, we've been seeing this actually reinforced and a shield plate in the hallway. FaZe does not feel the same about this, as we'll be destroying, well, everything. They're even knocking out the checkers wall here from meeting as well. That could make for a pretty cheeky angle. Obviously, they did end up changing things out towards the west windows for lobby, so that means that this is actually completely doable. You can't rappel up towards those top windows anymore and contest this wall.
So let's see here now how Liquid's going to have to potentially respond to that, and how FaZe will be able to play into this now, too. FaZe, of course, going to be chilling for a minute or two here. Won't have a whole lot to look forward to because Liquid is not going to oblige any of their early positions, or at least not try to directly align against them. Away from that, though, it's mainly about the drone work here for Liquid as they look to clear things out. 4 out of 5 of their players, in fact, on drones there for the first minute of the round, so they get a better idea in terms of what the setup is looking like for FaZe.
Absolutely, and one big thing coming in here for Liquid that we've seen a couple of times on Bank, and we'll continue to point out as we see here, it's going to be Osa. And actually, funny enough, John, just like we were talking about inside of the band phase, the top wall actually not even reinforced, it's soft, so now Lone can be taken advantage of by Buck. So we'll see Palu hop in, break up the wall, now Ace can just watch the entire elevator hallway. FaZe can do nothing about this any longer.
Things will once again continue to go quiet. Already half of the timer used up here. Once again, Liquid still primarily just trying to build up for one big play here. PSK as well, bringing in those Argus cams, or Sam cams, you might hear us call them all the time. It's because it's Sam Fisher, of course, in case you guys are tuning in and you haven't been following Rainbow Six Siege. He's made it here into Team Rainbow once again, as he's joined the lineup here for Siege under the name of Zero. Bringing those cameras in, and those cameras also have the capability to, as you probably just saw there, shoot out one little charge which can take out utility from the defensive side as well. Although they're fairly rarely used for that purpose, it's just more of a matter of convenience if it happens to line up for that. More than anything, the cameras themselves are used for the fact that they can be cameras and you can shoot them from super far away. You can see here Liquid trying to ascend the spiral staircase, but unfortunately Toxic Babes in the way is going to slow that process down by quite a bit here. Cameraman can just continuously chuck those in as well, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Deny this presence from Liquid. This is a great read from the FaZe roster and shows you just how well these teams know each other. Resets and Souls are going to get to know each other real well, apparently, with Resets being the winner of that battle as he takes him out. Bullet with an immediate response to those FaZe trying to stay in this fight, bringing it down to a 3v4.
Well, this has been awkward, to say the least, at least when it comes to the banana stairs, but now 15 seconds remain for Liquid. They have to propel themselves forward and actually get in towards the site and get a plan here. Ast taking some damage, but he takes down Cameraman. Is all left up to Astro to try and figure this one out. He'll be able to at least get one body, but oh, does Sam Fisher get him? No, he will not. The M590 out as he bounces back and forth, and he's got these shots. Oh, he'll be able to land
360.
I honestly thought that he had it there for a split second, but he got split in between his targets. He didn't know if he wanted to kill the man on the ground or the guy swinging him, and with that split second decision making, just unfortunately enough, shoots right in between them. Gets the goal post, as we like to call it over in America. It's a field goal for him, but a round for Liquid.
What would they call it elsewhere if it's like goalposts?
Well, because nobody else plays on the, football. They play soccer.
Well, we play soccer.
Yeah, we do, but I'm referencing football, which is like, our American football.
I have goalposts in soccer.
Yeah, but it's like, do you call it a goalpost? Like,
yes.
Do you? Are you sure? I'm pretty
the
sure.
sides of the goal.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, well,
I'm pretty sure.
You learn something new every day, it is what it is. I didn't play soccer, man. I sucked at sports. I did like track and ran because I only was good at running from my problems growing up, Chung.
Call it the better football, please.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue it either way. I'm not gonna start that. Latam's literally gonna set me on fire or something. Please don't. Either way, Liquid up 1-0 right now as they're able to start putting things together here on Bank. This offense already coming through in pretty massive dividends, especially for how awkward things were around that banana space. So we'll have to see what else they can possibly get done here. As for FaZe, that first round, again, yeah, a little weird, but I still think that there's some things that they can do overall with this map. I really wouldn't want to see them go back towards the top floor. I'd like to see them get some things going around the open area in the basement where they could possibly sneak some rounds past Liquid.
The unfortunate thing for FaZe 2 is they had the read on the situation. You could tell what that opening of the wall was for as we got towards the mid portion of the round. It lined up perfectly for their smoke to be able to just chuck them in from range there and block out access to the spiral staircase. So once again, FaZe, certainly not for a lack of intel, just failing a bit on the execution there and falling behind in the middle of the fights there, costing them heavily and allowing for Liquid to eventually flood in. Last player alive on FaZe as well, certainly trying to clutch their hearts out, nearly able to do it as it reached the null timer, but just way too many players to deal with and way too close of a quarter situation. So Liquid ended up topping that one out there, and they're going to look to do it again as they get ready to move in for a second time.
You know, before we get too deep here, I'll tell you this. If Liquid win this in 2-0 fashion, I will admit that soccer is better than football. I'll tell you that right now. But we'll have to see.
Easy dub.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. You never know, especially with Nest taking a lot of heat early on here with Cyber. Nice shots here as apparently FaZe is now contesting for my love of sports. We'll have to see exactly what goes on here. Nesk actually landing some beautiful shots here with the ARX. He'll take down Bullet, but Palu also going to take some heat as well.
Nesk with the opener. And Liquid overall taking a lot of heat for said opener here. Palu, in addition to Nesk, just 1 or 2 bullets worth of life left. So gonna have to be very careful with how they proceed forward. And you can tell that already. Drone's moving in here, gets them the intel onto Cyber. He immediately turns tail, nearly gets caught by the repel pressure. That's still gonna be alive and well here also. And it's not even just the repel pressure. You can see a little bit working itself in from the other side of this equation. Also, Cyber has got to be so careful here as he potentially has a date with death if he makes a wrong step in the wrong direction.
Yes, indeed. Drone's in now for resets. He'll discover Cyber's location, and Nesk will discover him. A double kill is, wow, that made my head spin. That happened so fast. Nesk now with top square control and the entire top of the map in control of Liquid.
Really just trying to waste as much time as possible there for Cyber. So did his best, got us down to a minute on the timer here, but you can see Liquid are quickly encroaching upon FaZe territory as they start to work down the main stairs to get them just a little bit closer towards pushing into the open area. Members of FaZe are ready to defend this one off with 2 in the sight. Another one, Souls, is going to be a bit more off over here towards the open area as well as they try to have a bit of a triangle matrix here to fend off any type of push that Liquid would go for. Liquid do need to speed this one up once again. I say that, but once more, I doubted their presence in the previous round, and they were able to make it work for themselves. This time, gonna maybe pull off the same thing. The impact goes in, but the Selm was far too low on the ground, so it's not gonna make the connection. It will be able to open up things for this team. Souls, however, will use that new window for himself as he's able to take out Ask and bring the numbers bound to a more palatable situation into a 3v4. Red timer now for the members of Team Liquid as they start to work their way in, and a 1-for-1 is not a great way to start, especially with Souls also getting Nesk.
Oh no! What?
Souls popped the head off his teammate and popped their potential to win that round.
What the hell just happened? How did you kill your teammate? There's nobody else inside of the site. Liquid hasn't even made any presence inside of open area. It's only your fellow FaZe member, my friend. Don't panic. As he just guns down his teammate inside of open area, Liquid will gather that round. I'm honestly surprised that we're not seeing a tack timeout here. That is just not good, especially for
tack
the mental.
timeout and some really big stairs.
Yeah, just that's
just like, what was that?
That's when it's just quiet on the bench. You just don't even want to talk. Like you're just like,
for the sake of the team, we're just gonna move on, boys.
Yeah,
like,
let's just forget that round. I really don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, just kind of spur of the moment mistake. Obviously, only a few seconds left on the clock, and once again, things get confusing from time to time in Siege, and certainly was the case for that player there on FaZe. Unfortunate, and now hands the second round over to Team Liquid as their reign of this series continues. Now 2-0 over them, and looking to try and control a basement assault to make it a third.
It's like one of those moments in Tarkov where you're like asking your friends where they are, and you actually and just shoot one of them in the side of the head. Happens all of the time, I tell you. But unfortunate once again there for FaZe. Hopefully they can bounce back in a convincing way here on this round. Just to remind you guys, especially for our FaZe fans at home that love that FaZe up, not all for naught just yet. Bank is, or has indeed been trending towards the offensive favor, so Liquid should be picking up some rounds here. We still want to see FaZe get something done. We don't want a 6-0 half by Liquid. That doesn't mean, oh yeah, they can totally bring it back. That means they have to have a perfect half, and nobody really does that. It's very, very difficult to pull off in a game like Siege with so many variables.
Let's see what FaZe are going to give us on their basement assault when you see a slight extension up over here towards the second floor where Cyber's going to be playing into, and Cyber actually wants to potentially counter a player that would lurk over here towards the skylight. No one in the neighborhood right now from Team Liquid, but that doesn't mean they're not ever going to show up. Cyber just simply waiting for an opportunity. Might try to do this on timing or play this on an audio cue if one is going to present itself from that far away. Nesk in the meanwhile working himself onto the inside of Square and as well pushing forward over towards Jay here, quickly taking out the pest so his support drone can move itself forward and he can get better vision in terms of what the future holds here. That presence just by itself is enough to force the two members of FaZe that were playing main stairs back into the basement as they do not want this fight or this early on with the pressure coming in from top.
Showface and dip here for FaZe. That was at least the game plan, and they've executed it well. Gemini out for Liquid, or at least for Nest's sake, as he'll be clearing out the space, and it's actually a fake instead, as he'll walk downstairs just ADSing. This is actually really, really smart from Nest, because a lot of the times the defense will be like, oh, it's a fake clone. Maybe there's somebody following it up. I don't need to shoot it, initiate. Oh, I'm dead. So, you know, it's just one of those things where you can play those little mind games with that character, which it can be very, very interesting. Palu's not going to have the secondary hard breach here on Bucks, so they'll have to have somebody else come in to be able to do that. That's going to be either Ask's job or PSK's. More than likely PSK's, just because Ask's utility is pretty trash when it comes to hatches. You have to use 2 out of your 3 Selmas in order to get 1 hatch. That just doesn't math right. So we'd much rather see the secondary hard breach here from PSK, and that's exactly what we're going to get.
So Liquid using the can openers here to pop things open relatively quickly and get the hatches done. Selma's, 2 of them, unfortunately, going to have to be used to be able to open up some of these other hatches as well, but thankfully, again, they did bring the can openers to get the secondary hatch open over towards Elevator, interestingly enough. Liquid possibly taking a note out of the game versus CAG from last night if they want to put some pressure down there. No Montaigne to be seen in this situation, but considering how successful that play was, wouldn't be surprising me if they try to take it for themselves here and use it to put the additional pressure onto FaZe here. 40 seconds left, so regardless of what they do, they're going to need to make a decision soon and potentially have to deal with Cyber, who has gone way to the outside on Garage. And this is someone rotating from Liquid. I saw a silhouette a second ago. It doesn't look like they're going to fully commit to the inside at all. They do have a pocket drone sitting here right underneath the ambulance, I do believe here. Palu also starting off the round well for his team as he knocks out Souls. He'll go back onto the cameras to reconfirm that player is still in the position.
Oh, they're in!
Garage, and yeah, like I said, the elevator hatch open. I don't need to show if that was the one they used. No, it was the vault hatch. It looks like that they went down and were able to get in from there. Time is still low, though, and they haven't forced out pressure from the internal FaZe members just as of yet. Nest getting another kill, but suddenly the responses are starting to flood back in. Bullet and Cyber picking up Palu, doing all the heavy lifting for Liquid right now. It's not necessarily going to be enough as Resets has to put it down on the ground here. Cyber should have enough time to be able to race over towards the defuse. He's going to pop this open, and there we go. Finishes off the last 2 players as FaZe finally get themselves on the board on their 3rd site.
Nicely done with the Nitro Cell there. We would have loved to have seen Liquid try and pace themselves a little bit better when it came down to their execute. With some extra time there, they could have worked that space that they dropped into, but on low time, they just have to try and take the gunfights and force their will upon the site. FaZe does a very good job of counteracting this, especially with the Garage player. PSK not able to pick up that kill that he was looking for early on there, and well, that was the exact player that was able to thwart all of Liquid's plans. Cyber coming back in, stopping the plant, and getting FaZe their very first round.
So moving right along here for the FaZe roster. Going to have to return to areas where things didn't go so smoothly on the last play, but hopefully having quite a few rounds since then, the leadership of FaZe will have learned their lesson and know what to adjust for the replays. We're back upstairs on the 2nd floor. Remnants of round 1 going to echo out here as they'll try this one more time against the push from Liquid. Liquid bringing a lot of the same flair as well. In fact, I think a pretty much identical operator lineup, most notably. The Osa coming in here for resets to be able to throw those shields down and add the extra pressure. Wasn't even really needed, to be completely honest with you, because of how successful their overall swing was up through Spiral, but in the event they go for a more traditional push, it certainly can help the play.
Absolutely, my friend, and as of right now for Liquid, they've given up the 1 round, but they're not looking to give up more. So he's trying to set things up a little bit stronger for this offensive side this time, but luckily enough, this site already being well handled the last time around, although it did get a little weird up around the banana stairwell. We'll have to see if they can possibly be able to figure things out a little bit better for their sake, although FaZe really only having that one member up against 4, it just could have really went either way with how things were around that banana space and the way that the windows played inside of that one. So now Astro downstairs to defend underneath the site and make sure none of those depth charges or frag grenades are used on his teammates.
So things continue to look well here for Team Liquid as they line themselves up for another assault. Getting into this site, it's looking like they're going to put a lot more pressure on the repels this time as well. And see if maybe they can find out 1 or 2 players from the FaZe side of things. Not going to see much of a response, though, from those windows. What you guys can see here, once again, there's basically 0 presence on the internal site by itself. A lot down below, though. That's where Astro is going to look to try and come into the fold here. First shield already used up, and they're just going to pop a second one right on there as Reset's going to try to put some additional pressure of his own on the players hiding back a little bit further into meeting room, where they've got a safer harbor to hide inside of.
Resets will be droning out the site for a time, as well as Nesk, as he has his over near square. Souls will be manning checkers with a body of cameraman inside of the main conference hall. Still the 2 FaZe members down low as well. As we know from Liquid, they like to take their time with their information game before they harshly execute onto the site, which can be very punishing, especially if they're able to get that info bountifully. So either way, cameraman now moving his way over into the janitor space, holding on to this for a time. And in 15 seconds remain here as Liquid continue to man the north windows.
Everyone from Liquid looking for an opportunity to work their way in, but once more, just like the previous few rounds here, it's relative inaction for the first 2 minutes, all posturing up, all trying to gather intel here in hopes that they can make their way in one fell swoop and not really give FaZe much of a chance for a response here. The focus here is trying to take out the players down below. The drone, I think, did sneak in well enough to be able to spot out the position from Cyber, but beyond that, though, still a bit more to be detected, and certainly not enough for Palu to risk the swing just as of yet. He'll go for it and just barely wins that engagement. Only about 30 HP remaining, so it's an easy trade for Astro on the inside of Archives to maintain his own position. A planet tap now going to go down onto the ground. Souls immediately responding to that, but he's going to get caught just after the Nitro goes out, so not able to use it. A Nitro really deployed from down below, but it doesn't really do much here. And now PSK able to catch Astro before he can cause any more problems from his position down below. It's up to Nesk and PSK to continue holding on to this one as Bullet, Souls, and now a newly revived cameraman are going to move in for the retake with the diffuser down on the ground.
Well, 25 seconds here as FaZe have to retake the site away from Liquid. Nesk with some beautiful shots onto Souls. Somebody more than likely going to hop out here. It's going to be Bullet as he'll be able to take down Nesk. It's all left up to PSK, but oh no. That's it. That's
what just happened?
That's the round. I don't know what to say.
Why did you hop?
Hey, you're asking me, man. I don't know. I think somebody accidentally hit a spacebar or something. Or
where was the plant?
It was upstairs inside a CEO.
Was it like next to a window?
I don't think so. I think it was next to the left-hand side wall, at least if you're looking at it from Banana.
It was apparently next to the desk.
Yeah, I think it was definitely not on top of the window. I can tell you that for sure. I don't really know why.
Maybe he got like challenged and he panicked or something?
We're about to find out here. Let's look through this replay. Yeah, the plant is indeed over by the wall. So you can see it through the wall right here. So yeah, smoke just...
What was he doing?
I don't know, John.
I gotta look at the replay for that one.
Oh, that was
I don't want to judge it too harshly because like maybe there was a reason for it, but
I think he thought his teammate was dead. That's what I think. And he was like, I need to go out and get this kit. Oh, wait, I could have defused and won the round. Yeah, so extremely unfortunate for FaZe there because that would have been their second round, but for Liquid and our Liquid fans at home, I mean, count your lucky stars. That never happens.
Liquid getting away with a whole lot of rounds they have no business taking inside of this game here. And that comes back even to our first map where we saw that happen a few times also.
So I got the plant spot. Thank you to production for showing me this on our overhead view. It was planted right next to the CEO desk. desk. So it's not next to the window at all. He actually just committed to hopping out the window to try and assist his teammate inside of a 2 versus 1. He might have thought that they possibly had another body and recognized that his teammate had died and went for the assist instead, but
there was still no time left though. He's like, he needed to be in there.
I completely agree with you, but as you and I both know, we are the commentators, and that's kind of our whole spiel. We get to kind of sit here and be like, oh, well, that was bad. So, I mean, it happens in the moment. Things get chaotic with Siege. We see it happen all the time. That is just a critical blunder that if Team Liquid end up taking this map and it happens to be pretty damn close, FaZe is really going to want back.
Absolutely the case. So FaZe now needing to fight extra hard for an additional few rounds here.
FaZe really want me to say that soccer's better than football, don't they?
That's like the second blunder just inside of this map too. Because remember the team kill back on the open area hold as well. Like, it's frustrating to watch.
It's definitely aggravating. I can feel the heat from the FaZe bench all the way over here, and we're like 100 yards away currently. So, I mean, as of right now for FaZe, you just got to clear the mental slate. I mean, I understand how frustrating this can be, trust me, but you are at SI right now. This means so very much as to what continues to go on in this group. And not only that, these are two of the best squads from Brazil. This means quite a bit just to your home audience.
Absolutely the case, even when you just consider the overall dominance that's existed for LATAM inside of the 2021 and the 2022 season, and the fact that FaZe were the most recent champions out of all of them. Even looking back, of course, to our most recent major, just about an hour or so north from here over in Yevla, when they were able to take the title a few months back. Looking, of course, to repeat that success on a global scale by taking control of SI as well. But things in this matchup versus Liquid, not going so hot at the moment.
Yeah, you might have won a major, but do you got a hammer, though? That's the real question. They really want to bring that thing home, but so does Liquid as they're continuing to push forward here. This round already down to 1 minute and 15 seconds, but not very much active play going on. And it's actually matched itself with the previous offense from Liquid. FaZe not even holding the top space this time around. Reset's making the exact same play he did the last time with Osa. He's going to get a hold of Marble and slap that Osa shield down just for the time being to hold the stairwell and make sure none of the FaZe members can possibly rotate up into his teammates. With only 15 seconds remaining though, looks like Liquid need to try and hop 2 as that timer begins to dwindle.
Bullet will find the first blow inside of this round finally after 2.25 minutes of absolute inaction from both teams. Nesk is the one to get knocked out as well. A powerful player now removed from the element entirely inside of round number 5 here. See some last minute adjustments coming in from Team Liquid, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Once again though, this is a team that builds up all their intel, barely executes it, and then does everything in one fell swoop at the 20-second marker. So don't count them out of it even though they've lost a player. FaZe should be in good control though, especially with Souls popping up in surprise. And a quick follow-up to that one as well to get himself a second. This third one should be easy against Palu. He's just trying to cheat in for that kill there. It's not going to happen. PSK is left alone off on an island over here towards the front pillars, and he's not even going to have a hope of closing it down. So he'll just save his life, save his KD, and this one will go confidently into FaZe's pocket.
Yeah, PSK shaking his head a little bit there. Had that top floor control, but not able to do literally anything with it. They get no picks, they get no damage onto the FaZe members, and really it's just the Soul Train that walks through Liquid inside of this round. Beautiful triple kill from him, as we'll see it again here. The prone body of Palu trying to find him inside of Printer, but simply can't get it done. Liquid looking to split the half forward 2 here, if they can muster it, going into the site that FaZe had their strongest defensive setup on, I would say, after Liquid had to drop in on the back end, if you really don't want to count that open area around, because Liquid just pacing-wise really weren't inside of that one. So kind of unfortunate for them at that moment. Either way, though, we're going to have a 6-pick come out here from the Zofia back onto the Osa for resets. So we'll see if we can put those Osa shields to good use on the downstairs site.
FaZe in a good position and now try and even us back up for their final defense of the half here, as they'll be heading into the basement once again. This is where they held solid control once more, and also at the same time, looking back at the previous play, Liquid struggled in the same way they did in the most recent round. So assuming we had no tack pause, unless there is a secondary plan in motion that they're ready to immediately bring into the fold, you can expect a possible same result here and the same issues to show up for Liquid. That relative inaction in the early round costing them heftily as they'll try to force the issue and walk into the setup, more than likely giving the round to FaZe if things repeat themselves in the same way.
All right, well, 5 seconds remaining in this prep phase for FaZe. So we'll let the dogs out and see what Liquid can possibly do inside of this round. Or rather, horses. That'd be a little bit more spot on for Liquid. As of right now, it's looking like Liquid want to try and progress in through the dirt tunnel. This is something that we don't see happen too often in competitive play. It happens all the time in other aspects, though. This is actually looking like a pretty direct setup, at least for Liquid. We're starting to get more of a what's going on site. FaZe have actually adjusted themselves up to open area for the time being, so this is actually looking like they could simply try and just run over Souls. As look at all of these FaZe members on the top floor. If Liquid's able to recognize this, they could just go direct.
We'll see if they are able to catch that one, and more importantly, if they want to tempt fate on that one, as there could still be a fairly hefty collapse against them if they're not careful there. The retake could be rough, trying to play so many angles from the bottom to the top, but it looks like they do catch on to it here. A path has been opened into the site via soft breach, and they're going to follow it through more than likely. This could be a good thing for FaZe. At the same time, though, Liquid, if they're able to properly fend off all the rotations from up on top, this could work out fairly easily for them as well. A very tense situation for both teams, as neither one wants to be the first to make a mistake, and as a result of that, neither one wants to be the first to make a move here either. But obviously, in time, it'll be forced upon Liquid.
That timer always ticking down, and it's the one thing you can never fight is time. As Liquid trying to find their first kill, Nesk tosses a grenade on inside of the red hall, but not finding too much. It'll be the Selma charge out to destroy the Mira here. Hop back onto the bulletproof to see if anybody's in garage, but now Ask will start his plant. The Selma charge on the actual red space will prevent anyone from actually knowing what's going on. Astro will be here. They're waiting to see what's going on, and Ask on the exit frag as well. Liquid is picking FaZe to pieces. They don't have any opportunity to try and fight back. These Osa shields are going to be so hard to manage in this area.
They even already had a plan to counter the upstairs players too. You could see that with PSK countering out one of them, trying to work their way quickly over towards the main stairs to wrap back down. It's not going to work out. Look at this. The two players from FaZe are just frozen at this point. No idea what to accomplish here. Bullet holding the angle is gifted, actually. The pick for Ask, but immediately Nesk is going to be able to exchange that back out. Cyber gets one for himself, but he's got 3 more to eliminate, and only 3 seconds to get on the counter defuse. Nesk will finally take him out. Some good stuff indeed there from our last player alive on FaZe, trying to get himself back down into the basement, but it is too little too late. And more importantly, it is too little presence on site overall in the round, and Liquid are able to waltz right in and get an easy plant.
Masterfully done from Liquid inside of that round. Love what the Osa shields were able to accomplish as they set those up on both ends. Obviously, one a little bit more punishing as Bullet's able to just use that clear eye view to be able to pick himself up a kill, but not before he gets taken down by the Osa himself. So very well done there by Liquid. As FaZe looking to come back on the offensive side now. Already getting some 6 picks out here from Liquid as they're going to bring in the mute for the locker CCTV defense. So could be seeing some cheeky things come in here.
Aside from that here, not going to be anything too surprising, save for those 6 picks. And actually, Liquid just going for the straight reattempt as well, back down into the base. But now after FaZe had things not go too well for them, Liquid are going to immediately jump onto that themselves, feeling that they have the winning strategy to also take control of this one. Echo is, of course, back in play after being banned out in the previous map, and it's looking like Liquid going to be using that. PSK continuing to support his teammates in the best capability. Lots of Nomad play on the attacking side on the previous map there, and now bringing in the Echo to assist his team in any sort of close or tense situation here that might require a Yokai ping or two.
We're going to have the Warden coming in here for Team Liquid as well, more than likely placing that inside of blue so they can hold onto that for a little while longer. Pretty rudimentary Mira setup here for Liquid as well. One to man the main stairwell, other one inside of red to make sure that the plant doesn't go down how FaZe sees fit, so they'll have to get rid of that a little while later. But the big thing is that they don't have the same utility as Liquid, and as we know, all utility is not built the same in this game. No ranged hard breach here to be able to deal with that Mira window, so they'll have to try and find another means in order to do so.
See just a little bit of a poke from Liquid as they try to work themselves up to the top of the main stairs. Just trying to show presence here to cause some respect to come out for the members of FaZe. Won't really work for too long here, though. Astro quickly puts the Argus cam down to keep Overwatch on that. And welcome, by the way, to all the viewers of Stream A. We just finished up with the CAG match, so we're going to bring you all in here now to check things out on Team Liquid versus FaZe. If you weren't with us earlier, you missed the first map where Liquid weren't able to control things after a bit of a back and forth affair. Liquid went up 2-0, FaZe went 4 rounds straight, but then when Liquid got onto the attack, they took over, and were able to ultimately win it in the final round of regulation, 7-5, and are now already on their way to a second map here on Bank.
Before things get too hairy, we'll fill you in on the interesting rounds we've seen. FaZe botching a post plan as they both hop out of the north windows for upstairs when Liquid's members are all dead, not able to defuse, unfortunately enough for them, as well as some other mishaps happening for FaZe on their defensive end that could have gotten them effectively 2 other rounds and might have possibly have won them the defensive side and the map, but we'll have to see. We just switched sides now, and as we're halfway through this round, FaZe is starting to make headway on the basement.
Basically, if you're a FaZe fan, you might want to go and get a drink or something, because it's been rough here a bit. You might just want to wait and see how this one pans out before you commit yourself too heavily towards it. But
might be heavy drinking. That might be the only heavy thing that's happening at the end
but
of this.
There is hope yet for FaZe. They redeem themselves primarily on the attacking side back on Coastline. We're going to look to pull off the same thing here on Bank. We've been seeing a lot of attacker-sided maps, and this one should potentially be no different here as FaZe starts to line themselves up for the basement assault here. At the same time, though, still going to have to drain out all the defensive utility. 0 of the Toxic Babes have been forced prior to this point here, so Ass is just going to start bleeding them in one after another here. He has no pressure against him. Might even try to preset this one if the angle works out in his favor. You can see Souls trying to creep in, trying to see if there's maybe a window for him to sneak towards it and find a defuse plant, but will not end up happening. Second Toxic Babe now out. The third one will come right after this one. I think there'll only be about 10 to 12 seconds remaining when the time that third one fades away. So once again, going to be a very short window. Only 1 or 2 plant attempts at most for FaZe to try and make this work. Waiting for that one to work its way out. Actually, looks like the third Toxic Babe did get stopped. Nitro thrown out, but that's going to be caught. Ask as well here, along with Palu, able to take down 2 players attempting to support the plant, but they don't stop the plant itself. It goes down on the ground, and now we enter a 5v3 post-plant scenario to see if FaZe can hold on and negotiate a third round for themselves. Bullet holding on for himself here, and not only that, but getting the kill versus Palu, who had been a massive thorn in the side of FaZe up until this point in the round. Nest wrapping back up, though. Him and Reset's going to find 2 very important picks, leaving everything on Souls from up on top, but he defends his own position here, as well as the defuse, and they're just going to walk right into it here. Suddenly, it's realistically a 1v1. Reset's trying to get himself on it. He has to stick this at this point, and Souls will know it. Can't actually find him so easily, but no, he jumps off to take the duel there, and now it won't matter. Yeah, he's got back on the counter defuse, but there's no time left, so this round is going to FaZe.
A little bit of a mismanagement and utility there from Liquid as well. They had 3 nitro cells. That other smoke coming in very early as well. They only used 1 nitro cell to try and fend off the plant, and then past that, they just let it go through. That's not what's supposed to happen in the slightest. Obviously, some of those members off into some pretty, far off spaces, like the garage, for instance, like what we saw inside of that. But past that, Liquid doing a pretty good job of being able to resurge up the stairwell and take those fights. The biggest thing is that they still had a member drop back downstairs, which just left the 1v1 up top. And if you saw the HP after that initial engagement, the last remaining FaZe member had literally like 5 HP. So if they kept that stack up top, they win that round right there, and that would be 5-2 in favor of Liquid, but unfortunately not. They choose to drop back down, which is ill-advised in the moment. The high ground wins it for FaZe in that one.
Well, with FaZe winning out that round, they're right at the cusp of tying things up here. Early days, however, inside of the half, so plenty of opportunity for Liquid to rebound outside of that basement hold, and indeed, they are going to abandon it. No retries this early on for Liquid. They're going to go hunting for a more successful site and look to try and find it instead towards open area where they can spread their wings a bit more freely, especially inside of the early round, and try to waste the time of FaZe. Also, much greater capability to actually try and find some opening picks against FaZe with those extended positions. Specifically upstairs here, we can see their Thunderbird deploying into the usual spot towards Janitor. There should be at least one more than likely player going to be trying to hold a power position somewhere nearby.
Well, now for FaZe, they've been able to get 1 round on the board already on their offensive side, so more than likely all of the blunders that happen to their defensive end already out of their minds as they try and push themselves forward here on Bank. Bullet will repel himself up towards the balcony, and Astro will start looking in towards Electrical. As for Liquid, they've extended themselves upstairs here for the open area defense. Palu and Ness currently on the marble stairwell, working their way back down. Ask also inside of Tellers for the moment as they've pushed themselves out towards the north side of this mid-floor.
Oh, the rest of Liquid here being so cautious about the way they shift around just in case FaZe has taken a bit more map control than they would consider. This nade could be a winner. thankfully, Reset spots it coming and is able to get behind another bookshelf there to save his own life. Hot ping actually onto him. They want to force him out of the room entirely, which means FaZe might try to go for this play here super early on. We can see it. Astro on the inside. They get the intel against him, but the kill is smooth against Ask, and they're able to take him into a down state. No confirmation onto that just yet, so there is a possibility we could see him get revived if he gets far enough away from that door. You can see Reset sitting right next to him, but Reset's a little bit concerned for a player to walk up, so no opportunity going to be given. Palu instead will be the next to fall, and technically the first to fall here outright. Bullet will now move in, get the confirmation off onto Reset's Ask. Did get himself back up, but he's only got that 20 HP left, so it's going to have to hope it's enough here. Cameraman finally the first to fall for FaZe. Nets will get himself out into the main stairs first floor hallway and trade that one back out to make the scoreboard a bit more palatable here for Liquid.
Feels as though FaZe has already done so much inside of this round, and it's only 1 minute and 10 seconds here for Liquid to fend off the remaining members of this FaZe roster. But it's seemingly all Nesk at the moment. He'll tie things up, going down into the 3 versus 3. PSK to add on and Ask to put it into the 2 versus 1. Bullet currently 10 and 5, but do they know where he lies in wait? Currently here inside of the office. He could get a pretty cheeky kill onto Nesk if he doesn't look into this area while rotating in through archives, but he's just going to play patiently here. Knows that FaZe has to do something, and instead of the 2v1, they do not want to mess this up.
And if Liquid are smart, they would have noticed the case dropped as well, so not even going to be forced to make a play in that regard. Bullet, as a first step, is going to have to go back and be able to pick that one back up over towards the break room. So Bullet realizing once more that no one on Liquid's going to potentially challenge his position inside of admin. Finally have to swing out and go make the play himself here. He's going to try to line up a nade shot, but sees it coming. However, uses that to be able to take down Ask, so the round is not over yet. That's a plant opportunity at a minimum that's going to be opened up for him here. Hot ping's going out as fast as they can be thrown against Bullet here, but Ness doesn't want to challenge it. He's looking for a smooth angle. He should be able to get it. He is going to let that plant go down, but no, he doesn't want to give up the death. The round goes over to Team Liquid by default here as we reach a null timer.
Oh, I'm sweating bullets with how close that one got there by the hair of his chinny chin chin. Does that timer hit 0 and Liquid will get away with the round. 5-3 as they'll pick up their very first defense on this side, and it was looking pretty hairy early on there as FaZe was able to deal some very serious damage to these Liquid members, especially around the Teller's space, but luckily enough, Liquid have a Nesk, and he's shooting pretty straight today.
Yeah, Nesk saving the day inside of that round as well. That was a 3v5, by the way, folks, from Team Liquid right there, and Nesk got it all started and did a whole bunch of the heavy lifting. I believe at least 3 kills on that comeback from him. So excellent stuff to be able to keep his team in control at what is now once again a +2 advantage, restoring where we were at halftime, and obviously pushing us 1 round closer. The ultimate 7 that Liquid need to not only shut down this map, but 2-0 their opponents in the series.
Well, this is interesting. It seems like FaZe thought that Liquid could have possibly have went back downstairs or something along those lines. Astro is going to be bringing the secondary hard breach here for Nook. That's the thing that I've got on my mind right now as I'm figuring out what they would possibly apply that to inside of this space. But past that, they already have other hard breach to be able to achieve a lot of things. Cameraman with the Maverick Torch can assist them in getting rid of some of the utility in the behind these walls, but they can also just man it from the windows as well and get rid of these mute jammers, so that's a little bit more straightforward and requires a lot less heavy lifting, so we'll more than likely just see that, so that Souls can get those open. But as of right now, Liquid have just been doing so much damage to the FaZe members in a lot of different senses, so we'll see if they can continue to do so. Looking into the defensive setup just a little bit more, they will be manning the elevator hallway, at least on the 2nd level. Top level will be manned as well as they put mute jammers on both of those walls to restrict FaZe from gaining access.
He's wasting no time. Cyber specifically just popping open all the barricades over here on the rappel to open up possible peaks to throw in. You don't want to open up every single one of them because then you have to risk hop-outs and silent ones at that, potentially being thrown against you from Liquid if you overcommit to your rappels and don't have enough pressure to watch all the windows here. FaZe as well wasting no time taking their own bits of access inside of the building. Square was left open for the taking over at top side. Now I say open. There's going to be that softball leading into the site that they'll have to be constantly paying attention to in the event that someone from Liquid wants to swing out against that. That's a pretty rare occurrence, but still, they have to be keeping a watchful eye over this because not only can they get aggressive against them, but they too could also find an advantage as there's quite a bit of a vision pain to go all the way back into the site. But things start out well here for Liquid. They get the first kill yet again as Bullet, easily the most powerful fragger inside of this map for FaZe, has fallen by the wayside. It's going to be an 11-6 record as of this round for Bullet here. Not going to be able to fight, however, on that Yana, and Liquid will have an easy time chilling out now with a 5v4.
And it's the struggle bus now for FaZe. They're trying to keep Liquid off of match point, but this is looking like a Liquid round, at least for now, after taking down the main frag for FaZe. Liquid still holding on to a lot of important areas, especially around the main stairs space that we see Nesk in right now, just simply waiting to see if anyone wants to step up to the plate. Astro will sneak up and grab the case at the top of Square as Cyber sneaks in as well. Obviously a soft wall here, and he can abuse that with the sledgehammer, and he will do so. Chooses to hop outside so he can assist in manning the windows. Only going to take a little bit of HP due to that drop, but that's about it. PSK does have that 1.5, so he can contest at range, but obviously those ARs are going to be dealing a little bit of extra damage, so he's really got to worry about getting all those body shots in and onto him. Cameraman will take out resets. Nesk to fight back onto Cameraman, though, as it's a 4 versus 3. Astro will start the plant off now, right inside of the smoke, and seemingly no one aware of this situation, as the plant's just going to go off, and FaZe already have the crosses set up for the windows.
Liquid, an issue that kind of is surfacing again that we saw happening from time to time back over on the inside of our first map for Coastline. Just nowhere near enough presence in the site. They have to pay too much respect over to FaZe's attack, and as a result of that, a very clean plant is gifted on a silver platter over to our friends from FaZe here. Liquid still going to look to negotiate position to get back in, but they've got a lot of repel positions to deal with here. Not only that, Square retake too, so this is looking rough here. After a great start was found from Liquid too, they backed up far too much and have given FaZe all this real estate to play with. PSK, a futile attempt more than likely in a moment to get himself on the counter defuse, and it'll immediately be caught, and it's not much longer until Palu is knocked out as well. Another one up on the board for FaZe. They are not giving up just yet here as they come within one round's grasp with a scoreboard again.
I don't even know if you can really give that to FaZe. That just seemed more like a sloppy round there from Liquid, especially since they have Echo in play as well. They have zero idea as to what's going on inside of their own site, and he walks in and plants inside of a smoke with basically everyone alive on Liquid. That's not supposed to happen. So for Liquid, they're going to allow FaZe back into this in a certain sense, as FaZe has gotten their 4th point here, trying to tie things up here at 5. Liquid are going to abandon ship when it comes to the top floor, as they will reinsert into lockers and CCTV.
Let's see how the reattempt for Liquid will go on the basement, as this worked out for FaZe on the previous attempt here, able to negotiate themselves a pretty successful win. So this could very well become a fatal mistake for Liquid if they allow FaZe to come out on top of this one once more. And on top of that, push forward to a 5-5 scoreline. Very, very tense matchup once more here. Could go the full distance. These two teams are trading it out, but Liquid still feels they're in good control, so they've attempted this basement hold one more time and are going to bring a very similar flair to it. The Mira is in check here as well for Nest. Hopefully add a few better intel gathering capabilities, and the fact that they're going to be able to maintain additional pressure over here from Red Hall, get the intel through the Miras, and then maybe go out for a swing, maybe get some better utilization on those nitro cells this time too. But a big changeup has shown up even in that regard as well. And actually, give us a second here, folks. We are going to go for a rehost from the looks of things.
Yeah, well, looks like something go on here, so get things figured out, folks, and once we do, we will be back. Shouldn't be too long, though, so just go grab your drinks or something from the kitchen, come on back, and I'm sure we'll be back into the map. Just had a little bit of a sound issue for one of the members, so just gotta make sure those in-ears are working, and once they do, we'll be right back.
Everything will be pretty much the same, though. Once again, operator picks and all that is going to be forced to be relocked in the same exact way that they were done just now here. And thankfully, we didn't actually get too far into the round itself, so not a whole lot being revealed in terms of either team's setup. But either way, though, expect things to be relatively the same in terms of said setup, like we were talking about before, the mirror window coming into the folds there, hopefully allowing for Liquid to get better intel about when and where that plant attempt is going to come down towards, and hopefully allowing them to properly utilize the one nitro they did have to properly fend that one off. They get that case down on the ground, especially considering how low time both of these teams have been pushing into the site. That will more than likely mean victory for Liquid here if they're able to put that down onto the ground.
Absolutely the case, my friend, as Liquid are likely talking out how that last round win and trying to see what they can possibly do with this downstairs defense. It's been back and forth between these teams, but it really hasn't been clean siege across the board. We've been seeing some pretty sloppy rounds from both teams, as this bank especially, for some reason, has just been the hair-bringer of problems for both squads.
Yeah, absolutely the case here. And once again, both these teams still feeling like they have the confidence necessary to close things down. Both teams feeling like they can play fairly aggressively from their defensive ends as well, even though once more, this has been a fairly attacker-dictated series so far here, with FaZe now trying to bounce back and nearly accomplishing that feat already by jumping onto the side for themselves. This one more round would finally tilt the equation to the other direction here. They're currently up by 1 round overall on the half here. They are able to find just this one more. They'd be up by 2 and finally be able to tie the scoreboard up at a 5-5 overall scoreline here.
Well, for Liquid's sake, you're really hoping that they can get something going inside of this next round. They're more than likely going to be looking to play in towards the basement, more than likely not going to be laying too much time on the second and third floor just because it can be so damning for the players that try to do so. We saw the same thing happen inside of the Na'Vi game the first day with Oxygen, with Doki all the way upstairs, and he constantly got picked off because of the pressure exerted from the offense. As for the previous times, though, that we've seen, especially for Liquid's sake on their offensive side, we've seen some pretty clean executes into this basement area, especially because of FaZe's roam strategy around the open area, the last time around. And as well as with the basement, like we saw with Liquid's round, they had a really good opportunity to be able to take that round. The only mishap that they happen is they push 2 people upstairs. They're able to kill the open area player, but there's still one in square. And, well, one of those Liquid members dropped back down the hatch to be able to try and assist the other member down low, left the other one in an isolated 1v1 up top, and wouldn't you know it, he lost the gunfight, knocking the other player down to 5 HP, but I mean, at that angle, it's very hard to contest. They would have kept that other body upstairs, more than likely a Liquid round, but hey, it is what it is. That's Siege.
These mistakes that can be corrected fairly easily, though, more stylistic issues rather than faults directly of the team's internal strategy. So once again, as long as Liquid has caught on to those things, they're going to be looking to quickly renegotiate and reposition their players into stronger spots here for when the push comes in against FaZe, as we get deeper and deeper into this round. And what's more, if things go in the favor of Liquid, they will be 1 round closer and only 1 round away from shutting down this series, and still keeping the overall advantage relatively the same too, at a +2 in their favor here. So you get teammates still talking about things as we work on getting the lobby ready to rock and roll here. It's looking like we are almost good to go, so just another minute or 2, and we should be good to resume play here and see if FaZe are going to be able to give us another successful attack on this basement side.
I'm jealous of these sick-ass tattoos that these guys have. If you saw, we got the R6 tattoo over here on one of the FaZe members, as well as Nesk actually has Valkyrie on his hand as well, which is pretty sick, man, I'm telling you. It just is one of those things that once you start getting tattoos and you see other people with really cool tattoos, you're like, oh, I should get more tattoos. I'm telling you, you get addicted so very quickly. But either way, folks, we are just moments away from getting back into Liquid versus FaZe. We're just finishing patching up the little odds and ends here as we rebuild this lobby.
Yep, guys, once more, if you are just joining us, we want to welcome you to the series here. It's Team Liquid versus FaZe, our 3rd out of 4 series to be played out here today at the 4th day of the SI 2022 qualifiers. Both these teams have been playing their hearts out, of course. Both are certainly wanting to try and take the lion's share of points. You should keep in mind, folks, that this group stage is not super brutal for teams that had a good start here on days 1 through 3. You only need to get 4th out of 5th place to maintain a position in our playoff bracket, which will be generating very, very soon after the games tomorrow finish off here. But considering how close some of these groups have been, once again, don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to a potential upset if things should go awry for you. And on top of that, you still want to try and fight for as high of a seed as possible. That's potentially going to give you a more favorable matchup, as you'll have more than likely a 1st seed leave you versus the 4th seed from another group, so on and so forth.
And I actually just noticed that R6 tattoo on Soul's arm, it actually has a Batman logo.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Which is so sick, because if you guys notice, FaZe also actually has some Batman jerseys and stuff like that, and some apparel from that, which is pretty dope at the end of the day. Liquid's had some really cool jerseys over their time as well. If you guys remember the Marvel jerseys, those are probably my favorite, like the Iron Man and Spider-Man jerseys and stuff like that. Some pretty sick esports merch coming out in the last couple of years.
So once again, folks, fortunately, it doesn't look like we have a quick fix on the issue just as of yet, as I noticed that player had to drop out and rejoin. So we'll update you as soon as we have something, but once more, So working on making sure we have a solid fix, making sure we have as good of an environment as possible for our players before we go for the absolute resummation of play here. And it's like we're getting close. Just want to confirm everything's good more than likely once the players get in, and then we should be good to hop back in the server.
Hey, silence. Let's see what we can get going here for the Liquid guys. As Silence eyes down the camera, looks like we're just about ready to go, folks. And we are indeed. The lobby started. You can't see it just yet, but we are indeed in the reveal phase as we are getting back in here. We just want to make sure that everybody can use their ears this time around before we get too deep. Zofia will be the 6th pick yet again here for Cyber, but as we all know, that had to happen. Unbeknownst to Liquid, though, obviously, so that's why it was 6th picked in this fashion. Start off with a Sledge, then pick back into the Zofia. You do not want to give any extra information to your teammates, or rather your opponents.
So let's see here if this break was the little bit of vigor that Team Liquid needed to come up with a winning strategy for this hole. Like we said before, though, operator lines are going to need to be the same, so setups can be a little bit different. We are going to see the immediate pop of the mirror window that is placed over on the far wall leading to the back end of servers. That is going to punish anyone from FaZe that tries to take this control early, because immediately you can see Liquid fight out against that, and on top of that, it's going to be a bit more difficult to not only support the planter because it's a bit of an awkward angle, but it's even more difficult just to get the wall open because things like Exos and whatnot can be fairly easily shot out on the usual positions that they would be placed at. Even things like Mavericking opening that wall, it's going to be nigh impossible when you consider you would have to peak the angle itself quite a bit to be able to make the line up on top here. Just Swiss cheesing as well, the other wall. A little bit awkward for FaZe to be able to clear that up, but shouldn't be too much of an issue here in the grand scheme of things, considering they have the breaching charges. Not only that, but the lifeline available as well there on Cyber.
Well, now for Astro, make an immediate entry into the building, a pre-fire onto Nest because they will get back downstairs. Secondary hard breach now for Astro, making a lot more sense. Seemed like they thought that this was going to be a downstairs execute instead the last time around when they had to play into CEO, but still worked out pretty handedly for them. Last time we saw them utilize Zero for this exact setup, but obviously this works out too, as they will still have the secondary hard breach. Cyber will be putting the breaching charges down that we usually see the Sledge role fulfill that connects this, so instead it'll just be those to connect these rooms and make the rotations a little bit easier. Liquid setup though favoring more of the turtle, as Ask will be inside of blue here with some ADSs and other things around the deployable shield.
Ask continuing to wait out his position.
Well, actually no, I take it all back. There's literally nothing here. I don't even think Resets has a disc inside of this space.
Yeah, pretty sure you're right. He's just...
Oh no, there is one. Thank God.
One little cheeky one in the corner there. The drone has seen it though, so that there's probably going to be pretty quick pressure, I would imagine, from FaZe to try and force him out here. At minimum, the nade dump will come in here, and that'll get rid of the one magnet, meaning once more his deployable shield and his position overall will become quite vulnerable. Another drone moving in kind of reconfirms the obvious thing they already knew, which is that there isn't a whole lot of resistance to this play. Ask will get himself in position, and it's important to note too that the potential dump of grenades, as long as they're not actual frag grenades, he's going to be all right because he's got those smart glasses there. So flashes, for instance, going to be able to see through that. Smokes, going to have no problem seeing through that. So just has to make sure that there is going to be too much frag grenade pressure and that he'll be able to avoid the large majority of that. He actually goes for a swing and no, pays the price for that one. Cyber saw it coming from a mile away, was waiting for an opportunity to punish that potential play, and is going to do exactly that, handing over server on a silver platter with a player advantage now in FaZe's pocket.
Yes, indeed, but very low time now and only one member of Liquid taking any heat inside of this, so it's still a 5 versus 4 and very doable for the Liquid members. Lots of utility being poured in towards site now, but you can hear Resets discs grabbing a lot of this, but FaZe looking to execute pretty quickly here. Cyber moving around the hatch, grenade out here for Cameraman as well. That'll do some serious damage to Nesk, and that's exactly why you want some ADSs down to 1 HP. 26 seconds remain as Yana Clone will grab some extra information. Soul's looking for a plant spot as he takes quite a bit of heat here from the Toxic Babes. PSK will be able to take down Astro's. Cameraman will fall to Nesk, and now the plant doesn't get stopped. Actually, it will, I do believe. Yes, it will, but it'll actually be from the gun of Palu instead. Cyber to fight back now. With only 5 seconds remaining, they more than likely need to go for the guns instead, but no, it'll be Liquid to shut it down.
And so Liquid barely scraped by on that one as well. Thankfully, the resistance, specifically deeper in the site, the hold for security was a bit of a mixed bag there, and they allowed the plant to go through. Thankfully, however, all the support for that plant fell by the wayside, specifically the supports coming in from the upper hatches and over towards the garage and main stairs area. So Liquid was given the freedom they needed after they picked up those kills to punish the plant, stop it with only about a second or so left on the actual plant timer as well. And slowly but surely, things ended up falling into Liquid's favor with the time bank running it down to a 0 point. FaZe now up against the wall in this series. They need to run the next 2 rounds straight, so they're going to take their tactical and see if they can come up with a winning strategy here for what's going to be a staff room coming up here to potentially save themselves. If not, Liquid's going to take this one with a potential 7-4 or 7-5 victory and a 2-0 overall on the series.
Last time we went to this site, Liquid had a successful defense, although it didn't start off looking that way. It was 2 easy picks for FaZe inside of the archives area, with Nesk having to pull them back from the brink, as he was able to pick up a triple kill, I do believe, in that round, at least a double initially, to at least set things straight inside of the 3 versus 3, and then later on rotating in and making sure that the plant did not go down in order to achieve victory. As of right now, Liquid 1 round away from sealing the deal up against FaZe, not only on their own map pick, but FaZe's map pick as well.
So that pause should be coming to a close here in just a moment. You can see the coach just giving his last words of encouragement and a high five as well for good luck. We'll see if it worked out here, as indeed his mic has now been muted, and we're heading back into the game here as he flips that back up. Do or die time for the FaZe members. Let's see indeed what they'll bring to the table. Zero is back in the fold. Most notable changeup we immediately see there for the operator lineup. Double heart breach once again, but never mind. We're going to see the Maverick get switched away. They'll just be sticking with the Thermite instead here, as the knock is coming in here for Cameraman instead.
Well, now back into the Nook here, so going to have a lot of secondary hard breach unless Cameraman ended up changing that up and has frag grenades this time around. It's going to allow him to be quite sneaky around the map as well. So we'll have to see if he can use that Hell device to good use and possibly in behind the Liquid members, especially inside of the Teller space like we saw them occupying before. Going to be reinforcing the elevator walls with a mute jammer here as well, just to make sure that things cannot be opened up immediately for FaZe that could lead to a couple of frags onto the Liquid members, as that is going to be a pretty safe space for them to be able to rotate through. A little later on here, Resets will be setting up the mute jammer. He's going to set 3 of them on this wall, and that's mostly due to the recent nerf that Mute received to the vicinity of his mute jammers.
So with FaZe now out on the board, let's take a look and see what their opening play is going to be here to try and fetch some control across the map here. And we're going to see a can opener get used really early on just to deal with the castle barricade that was positioned over a break room window. Not too much of an issue overall to be able to use that this early, as there's still a good amount of excess. And again, the hard breach charges themselves, the Exos currently contained on Souls, those really only need to be saved for the main wall for Square working itself into the staff area itself. Aside from that, not a huge need for hard breach on this site. Assault, Liquid initially with some presence upstairs, looking to fend off the play from FaZe, but they don't stick around for a very long time, immediately culling that back and falling down to the first floor here, where they're going to try to play a little bit more into the Tellers and Archives rooms to try and waste some time for FaZe now that they've taken top square.
Well, Nesk will be setting up his last Kona station here inside of the open area to hopefully play some solid defense around. Liquid still waiting for the entry here from FaZe, but obviously FaZe needs some extra insight before they spring to. Looking for some ATM clearance here for Cameraman as well, and that's exactly what I thought was going to be happening with this knock, as they're looking to see if they can possibly get their entry point. Nitrocell out, does some damage back to Cyber, but Reset's also taking some of his own, but that's the pick. Oh no, what the heck just happened there? A ill-advised nade from Bolt will take down Astro. Don't exactly know what happened inside of this, but this is the 3rd blunder inside of this map from FaZe where somebody's died because of it.
That's not Mortar meta. Coming back to bite a team finally here. Somebody mistimed their nade and it came back and hit him apparently. Just guessing, but yeah. No idea how exactly that ended up transpiring, but a super unfortunate turn of events as it's just, again, gifted the 5v4 over to Team Liquid. They can now breathe a sigh of relief and just chill out here. Wait for the potential opening. Oh, nice bank, though. That's going to grab PSK and take him out of the fold here. No impact trick going to come out against the hard breach. Souls will be able to pop the open area right open for the taking here and allow the rest of FaZe to move in through staff.
Ask in a pretty interesting space right now inside of Kitchen, playing on top of the bomb chassis. Adopting this angle here into square. FaZe have got to hop too soon. 40 seconds remain as cameraman will pick up resets, and they've been waiting for a very long time for that one to go off, as all of a sudden they have the man advantage. Palu will pull it back though as the damage starting to come in onto the Liquid members. Bullet springs forward, and that's going to be a FaZe round there as they're able to collect it after I don't really know what happened inside of those opening minutes.
A really surprising outcome to that round, given everything that built up to it there.
I mean, if I'm being honest, that was just such a Liquid blunder, it's not even funny. I don't even know why you're standing in relative distance to that when you know the grenade's coming through. You're just asking to get blown up. So it's just super unfortunate there for Liquid. You have the man advantage, play the man advantage. It's just, there's so much going wrong for both of these teams.
No trade setups after the breach is made. You just got 3 players kind of standing off on an island all on their own. Not even really like a rush take coming in from FaZe or anything either. Just really loose play from Liquid, and they never try to tighten it up to fix things. So
from both of these teams, it's got to be very frustrating for both of these coaches right now to see exactly how this is breaking down. But either way, Liquid still with an opportunity to close this out inside of regulation here as they head back towards the top floor where Liquid just simply allowed FaZe to plant the last time around. They're going to make the same wall here. And last time FaZe simply smoked the angle. Sledge opened the wall and were able to walk in and plant inside without a single Liquid member knowing, whilst PSK had some yokai drones around the space. So very interesting stuff happening here. Hopefully we'll see if Liquid can try and batten down the hatches and assist themselves this time around.
All right, Liquid still up on map point here, going for the fully loaded map twice in a row here. Able to take it 7-5 back on map number 1 and looking to repeat that very same amount of success here on map number 2. For the FaZe roster, however, they need to stop this from happening. They need to trigger overtime just to save themselves. That's really going to guarantee map number 3 for themselves over on Chalet, which, to be fair to you, again, should be a pretty fun affair if we do end up making it to that point. But the teeter-tottering between these two teams continue, and it's made it very hard to predict how one round is going to go, let alone an entire map here. So we'll hold our judgment in terms of who may be winning this round and this map until later on here. Pascal gets spotted out there on a bit of an extension towards open area, but still going to maintain his position. In the meanwhile, here comes Cameraman booming up through main stairs. Did not manage to hear the breach from down below, but wow, saved by, once again, just a player who's not ready to take a battle there. Palu is given a second opportunity to turn that fight around against Cameraman because he's busy chucking a nade out. Meanwhile, speaking of nades, Bullet is going to be able to throw one against Nesk, and because he tried to maintain that position, it wrapped around him. You can see where it blew up as well. Some people might be a little confused, like, wait, there's an ADS there. Yeah, it looks like it probably went too low, so the ADS did not have any line of sight to be able to stop that. And again, they knew where he was before as well, so they can take him out. Liquid, they'll find a response, though, against Astro, and it'll be resets to pick not only that kill up, but he gets the drop shot off on a Cameraman to eliminate him, too.
Minute and 45 seconds remaining, and it only takes the first minute 15 for all of this action to happen. Reset's now downstairs, and he's just going to play out his life and see if FaZe want to try and rotate into him. Cyber now moving in towards Teller, so he'll have control over the stairwell, but we really shouldn't be seeing Resets try and re-aggress just yet. There's still so much time remaining inside of this round for him. FaZe, as of right now, looking towards the sky. He'll be repelled on the north windows here. Soul's getting a drone in to spot out exactly what's going down with these Liquid members, as they've cleaned a lot of things up in the current moment. Obviously, Bullet's still on a heater, as he's been the saving grace for FaZe in a lot of different moments. He'll tag up Palu here inside of the Checker's office as we get down to the last minute.
Indeed, 60 seconds remain here. Could be the last 60 seconds for FaZe for today as well, as they're going to need to try and summon some strength to get them back into the fold here. Cyber unable to stop the Toxic Bait from imploding, and that's going to cost him actually a fairly small amount of HP as he gets out of it relatively quickly. At the same time, the advances from Liquid are going to come out as a result of that player being pushed back. Bullet makes up for it, though, by quickly pushing himself into stock here. Cyber's going to move himself outside since he's not the case carrier, and he's going to repel to be able to support Souls from that position. While Bullet will instead move over towards the breach. However, Cyber gonna get caught while trying to move up on top of that. Souls now needs to move in with no support and only 20 seconds left, looking for the exchange before he works himself in. And he's gonna get it against Asp, but at a heavy cost to his own HP. Bullet now watching the flank from Palu, making sure that he's not gonna be able to waltz right up against this. And here we go. Souls, where is the play? Where is the plant? You don't have any time left. You gotta go for it. He's gonna attempt it over here behind the couch. Palu already taken out one. Bullet holds on his own, but he still needs to get the case down, and that's it. GG has been called. Liquid take it 2 maps in a row, 7-5, and a 2-0 overall in this series with 3 additional points coming in for their group standing.
Liquid absolutely electric after that 2-0 win, a 7-5 here on Bank, but honestly, one of the sloppiest maps that I've seen throughout the entirety of this tournament. A lot going back and forth in between these teams, a lot of things that they're more than likely going to want to look into and try and fix up, but a win is a win at the end of the day, and in 2-0 fashion, FaZe will not get a single point for this one.
Possible method to the madness, just to maybe give some justification as to why we were seeing teams playing like these really like default type of strategies and whatnot. These teams know each other fairly well and are probably, you know, synced in when it comes to scrims and whatnot, so maybe they didn't want to reveal anything. Maybe there was a little bit of mutual respect there and they wanted to play this map a little bit straightforward. Like I said, that probably has a little bit more to do with how the groups are standing. If both of these teams are in relatively safe positions, I think that that's more likely, but it's been a while since I've checked in on the group standing, so I'm not entirely sure if that was the case coming into this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend, but I can tell you this, both of these teams definitely can take it to a lot of squads, and we definitely had some interesting interactions, I will say, in between these two across both maps. Some pretty interesting strategy, I would say, but that's for our command center to break down, folks. We're done over here on the casting desk. We're going to send you to a quick break, and we'll be back with our command center.